live. Going live. Yeah, I have dice for this now. I tried to put magnets on it yesterday, but it didn't go very well. So it's a bit, how you doing? But like,
I want to hold the two halves together.
Yeah, because it's intended for them to be like that. I just didn't have any nice little round ones, so I just kind of crowbarred in these oversized ones.
You took the ones that were from offending hard drives and laptops and so on.
That's right. However, it was kind of a case of
soldering iron and just going.
Basically, but you kind of got to try something to see if it works. And last night I discovered that that doesn't work. But the thing about 3D printing is you can always just print off another one.
Absolutely, and it will cost you 60p.
Precisely. However, it's functional though, so now we now have dice and we can play a game of Knucklebones. So
Excellent.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Hello everyone. How is everyone?
You're here.
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
Let me get a pop-out chat. Then I'm going to be clever and refresh that one so I get a chat there as well. Oh no! I moved that chat.
Heck. I will just read the chat over here.
I tried to snap it and it went off to another screen. Nope.
I don't even know where the mouse pointer is. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Got it.
You got it.
Got it. Oh no! Oh, I changed this last week and it hasn't saved it. All right, whatever. Right, that.
No, my fancy zones.
Yeah, my fancy zones are broken. Right, and then we're going to change that to fan funding. There we go. Right. Hello, everyone. Yes. Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are we doing? Right. Until you're out of filament. Yeah, filament is cheap though. That's the thing. Although
How many kilos is a spool? Is it 1 kilo?
A standard spool is 1 kilogram and costs about 20 quid. You can find stuff that is slightly cheaper, and you can also buy more expensive stuff. But
when you look at that purely by the numbers, you're like £20 a kilo. But then you're also like
plastic, yeah.
For plastic, but then you're also like, yes, I'm using 4 grams for this thing.
Yeah. By the kilogram, it is kind of expensive for just plastic. But on the flip side, though, it's kind of not an issue because the things you make with it are so small and light that it's just fundamentally not an issue.
Yeah.
Although that much being said, I think the estimated cost for that print over there is like 2 quid.
Ugh.
So it's a case of like, which is not a lot of money, but for something that I'm 99% certain is going to get thrown out as I needed to test this, but I don't think this is the final copy.
Yeah.
Is a bit like, So yeah. But yes. Echo slightly on both.
I mean, the normal solution is just turning off the base station.
Yes. Does that? Yeah, because that hasn't probably not been rebooted for a decade. I'll go over and do the thing.
Do the thing, and I shall communicate through the power of interpretive dance.
All right, here we go. The microphone is turning off.
Oh no, it is gone. You can no longer hear me. You have no idea what I'm saying. It could be profound, but it probably isn't.
The point where we do the... I can never remember whichever comedian it is that did the original "Are you going?" joke.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. All right.
No. But yes, you could probably hear me through the condenser or the cam mic.
Oh, yeah. That's where the echo's coming from. The condenser is hot. Yeah. I wonder why that's hot. Oh, well, doesn't matter.
Possibly because we swapped scenes. Because we unplugged and replugged everything, didn't we?
Maybe,
and then shuffled everything around.
Oh, well, that's where the echo was coming from then. It wasn't the it wasn't the road. It was the fact that the condenser was hot on the other side of the room.
Fair
so
enough.
Yeah. All right then.
Oh well.
There we go. All right. So you can get plastic for 3D printer from old plastic bottles. Yes, you can buy recycled filament.
Yes, I remember seeing a thing about that. About some company was taking like the clear 500ml bottles, spiralizing them, and then doing something to turn them into filament, basically.
Yeah.
And I was just like, interesting. I like this purely as the concept of obviously reusing materials, but it was also the case. So I was just like, my question is, what's the total energy consumption kind of thing? Yeah,
this is the problem. Like, I think this conversation has come up in a room where you were present as well. But this is the interest. Yeah. So this is the interesting thing I have about that we have about reuse and stuff like that is we have a twofold problem: is the conservation of resources and an energy crisis.
Yes.
And like and we can very easily solve the issue of resources if we had unlimited energy, but we don't have unlimited energy at the moment. So it's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is why I think there should be a lot of emphasis on getting to a point where we have unlimited energy, because once you get to that point, you can solve a lot of problems just by throwing energy at it.
Yeah. Also, to a degree, we can solve a lot of these problems by just not consuming it in the first place.
This is true. Yeah. And also, of course, if we consume less energy, then we have more excess energy to do other stuff with, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. That's not the reason these lights are off. It's just because we forgot.
Well, yeah, we generally don't turn on the key lights unless we're doing something, do we? Yeah,
absolutely.
Because, just like we can.
It makes us dramatically less contrasty.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Hang on a minute. Oh, wait.
Because now you are...
Now I'm overexposed.
Now you are Gondor calls for aid.
Yeah.
The beacons are lit.
I assume the exposure is on manual at the moment.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so now it's a question of, can you be bothered to go and set the exposure again after turning on the key lights?
But yeah, it does make us dramatically more contrasty with the background.
Fair enough.
Which was,
all right.
kind of the balance.
In that case, go and do the thing then. I've turned on my key light. You've got to do yours and do the thing and the thing and the thing. All right. Both look like we're in indirect sunlight. Yeah, we're absolutely not. However, lighting is bright, yo. But when it comes to photography, they're...
Too far.
When it comes to photography, there is arguably no such thing as too much light. That looks about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about as bright as you can go before my billboard brow starts blowing out again, so... All right.
Absolutely.
How's the AI doing? It's doing lovely, actually. The YouTube rig is in a much better place now. It is sounding much more healthy. I haven't checked the temperatures now I think about it, but like based on the way it's behaving, I've no reason to believe there's a problem with it. It needs some tweaking though, because we've got two AVerMedia capture cards in there. We've got the 4K and the HD, but the HD is not being detected. So there's something funny going on with PCI lane detection or something, I think. And I'm hoping that it just does. I'm hoping that we're not running into an issue where there's just not enough PCI lanes, because it is 7th gen and we have got an NVMe drive and 2 capture cards in there and the graphics card. And I'm like, might actually be causing problems. I don't know.
It's also a case of you might have to make sure that one of them's running through the chipset and one of them's running direct to the CPU, if that's split up that way.
Maybe, yeah.
Just because I know that there are situations where trying to run 2 capture cards through a chipset don't.
Fair enough. Hello, Raider. Yeah, fair enough. Yes. Raider's friend bought him a CPU because his CPU got nicked by Amazon. So, this is cool. Don't generally do shout-outs, though. But yeah, because otherwise everyone wants a shout-out for someone who helped them. And like, this is good and everything, but, first rule of streaming, don't ask for shout-outs. So, right. AIOs are the reason you shouldn't listen to YouTube influencers. They're fine. Air cooling is a lot simpler and does the job. I like AIOs just because I think they look awesome. However, I'm under no illusion that they are a better solution. However, I think when you're building boutique PCs that you want to look pretty, having an AIO in there is an awful lot more attractive than an enormous chunk of metal fin stack. So yeah, it depends on what your objectives are. This kind of goes in line with like the RGB argument and stuff like that. People are just like, RGB is stupid and blah, blah, blah. It's like, fine. If that's not what is valuable to you, then don't buy RGB. But if you're building a computer where you want it to look pretty and stuff like that, this is something that might be for you. But there's a lot of things you can put into a computer that have no purpose other than that aesthetic to an extent. But yeah.
Who needs cases?
Yes. But yes.
Cardboard box on the floor.
Yeah. 1 a.m. says Christmas Crustacean. See you in the VOD. Very well. I would only recommend an AIO for R9s and Ryzen 9s. Yeah, I don't know. I've not tried to run top spec chips on air coolers, and I haven't actually looked at the results for that. Like, because like the current i9 is savage and like wants 300 watts of cooling or something obnoxious like that, doesn't it?
Yes.
But I don't know. The like Noctua NHD15 is also a savage cooler. Like I think the problem is that a lot of people say, "Oh, you need an all-in-one water cooler to tame one of those." I'm like, I don't think it really matters because the battle there is heat extraction, not dissipation. But yeah, AIOs survive big impact. Yeah, big heat sinks, inertia, braking stuff. Yeah, I think that's another argument for it. AIOs travel better, but also now we're talking about, are you building it for a land rig and stuff like that? So
it's also just a case of obviously the peak performance on an AIO will invariably be higher when you're buying the not crap ones.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's kind of
I mean, at the end of the day, if my memory serves me, the graphs don't lie, and I'm fairly certain that on Gamers Nexus's graph, the top 5 are basically all AIOs, most of which are made by Arctic.
But it is a case that the peak cooling performance is received by an AIO.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's obviously a case of if you're building a high-end PC, given the fact that it's 90 quid for a 90 quid, 100 quid for most 240, 280 AIOs.
Air coolers,
then 70, 80 quid for an air cooler. It's a case of sure, it's the category of but £20 here, but £20 here.
Yeah.
But it's also a case of if you've already bought the fastest processor, if you've already got the high-end motherboard, if you've already got the high-end GPU, the £20 more to just make sure that you have the highest probability of maintaining the highest possible boost clocks for as long as possible and things like that. It's a case of, to me, it makes sense.
Yeah. I think it definitely comes down to whether you're running a top spec CPU or not. Because like, if you're not running a top spec CPU, you're probably only trying to move about 120 watts anyway, and that's not particularly difficult. So, yeah, D15s are $100 plus. Ugh.
They're also not very good these days.
Really?
Yeah, there are better performing air coolers.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Which are cheaper.
Yeah. I've not looked at the air cooling market for a long time just because I like AIOs, so I tend to buy them. I'm either buying an AIO for a high-end system, or I'm buying like a Cooler Master Hyper Evo 212 or whatever it is, for a low to mid-range system, because that cooler is like £20 and will cool everything up to and including an i5. So yeah, but that's fair.
Oh, LastPass, you daft thing. Because I've not used this laptop in a month, actually.
Now you've got to go through all the...
I have to effectively reauthorize the device as something that's allowed to sign in.
Yes.
But I haven't received the email to authorize it, and I'm just like, oh, LastPass.
Yeah.
This is stupid, given I have two-factor turned on.
I'm getting increasingly more tempted to migrate from LastPass into just using, into just storing all of my passwords in Chrome.
Yeah, the Chrome password manager is an awful lot more secure than it used to be.
Exactly.
It used to store everything in plain text.
Yeah, whereas now it's actually storing it in a sensible manner, and because it's synced to your Google account, it's backed up. But also, I really don't like consolidating more stuff into my Google account, because like, I don't want to think about the amount of damage that losing my Google account would do to me, kind of thing. So I want to move off of LastPass, but also, yeah, I don't know what else to move to. And then we come back to the conversation of run your own password manager that you know, and that's on your own server. I'm like, yeah, but that's effort. So, yeah.
Whatever.
Hyper 212 is overpriced these days. It's like $40. Really? What happened?
Probably it got remade in like 8 different versions, and somehow one of them ended up at a crazy, stupidly high price.
All right, the Cooler Master, there we go. Holy crap, yeah, like the RGB version is 40 quid on Amazon at the moment, but there's like a dozen different ones. Wow, yeah, no, it is expensive. There's a, let's see, that's the 4-pipe one. So the poor man's version is £25. That's a 92mm fan. Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Oh,
it
no,
has basically been replaced by the H411R, hasn't it?
The 40 quid one says it's got an SF120, so I'm guessing that's a 120mm version of it. The problem is there's so many versions of it, it's hard to tell which one is which.
It's been out for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has basically been replaced by the 411 and the 412.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me
which
Google.
are £24, £25. Sorry, the H411R.
441. Sorry.
411R.
Yes, I did hear you right. Yeah, Hyper 411. There it is. Yeah.
So see, it's basically the same as the original 212, just without the RGB.
Yeah, and that is 24 quid on Amazon at the moment.
As opposed to 40.
Yeah, so
it's still expensive.
Yeah,
for how basic it is.
Yeah, like I think that should be a £20 cooler. If it was 20 quid, I wouldn't be arguing. And I guess you could probably find it for 20 quid on eBay or something, whereas we're on Amazon, so everything's a bit more expensive because that's how much Prime costs. So yeah. But again, I like the idea of these small coolers because I'm kind of I've said this a few times, but I am gravitating back toward an idea of slightly more mid-range CPUs with small coolers on them, just on account that you don't have to have a top-end CPU with a huge cooler on it unless you need to. The T200, I see. Is that a 200mm fan?
I doubt it.
No, it can't be. Yeah, it's just a weirdly shaped fan. Oh, it's the...
It sounded like it was coming from the ceiling initially. I was like, what is happening? Rapture is upon us.
The 3D printer is running in the background. It went to a new layer and just started going, you know.
Apparently it's 12 centimeters by 18 centimeters by 10 centimeters. So 120mm by 180mm. By 100mm, which makes sense.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It is very much not a 200mm fan.
Yeah. I mean, 120 is the sweet spot, isn't it? Like, you can go down to a 92 and you can have something that's more compact, but I think that will struggle if you're trying to run like an R5 or an i5 or something.
Yeah, NHD 15 is 110.
Yeah, it's too much.
Oh yeah, that's way too much.
Yeah, that's the problem, because like for 110 you can buy a Liquid Freezer 2, which is the best CPU, the best consumer CPU cooler on the market.
Huh, interesting.
So yeah, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Go for a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro. The Be Quiets are always really expensive though, I think.
They're cheaper than the NHD 15 is, but...
Yeah, like the Dark Rock Pro 4 is 75 quid. So yeah, for a high-end one, that's fine. So yeah, I think, you know, Deep Cool have got some really good offerings right now.
Yeah, the AK620 is reviewed well by Gamers Nexus.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's around 60 quid or so, which is very reasonable. And then like
Oh god,
the Be Quiet, the Pure Rock Slim, which is Be Quiet's equivalent of the Cooler Master Hyper, is £33, and it's like it's not worth that much.
Yeah, I've got one, and it is basically the same thing, just nicer build quality.
Yeah, like it's got a slightly nicer build quality.
The metals are rounded, and the edges aren't slice your finger open.
Yeah. But the problem is, it's just a case of like, I guess it depends on if you're building for yourself or for someone else. Like if I'm building for a customer, that's another tenner for the cooler to look slightly nicer. And if I'm using a cooler like this in the first place, I'm probably on a budget, and that's £10 more that I could have spent on a better motherboard or a £10 here, £10 there, and suddenly you've got the next graphics card up in the stack or something like that. That makes a much more meaningful difference, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo V2 44 quid.
Yeah, no, you're dreaming, yeah.
Good heavens.
Yeah. So yeah,
but it is also the case of a little bit we have to accept the fact that just everything's expensive on that front.
Yeah, this is true.
Still.
Yeah. Like
we've seen CPUs come down, we've seen GPUs come down, we've seen cases stabilize.
Power supplies are stabilized.
High.
They're high but okay in the UK, but in America they're horrifying.
I mean, they've basically just stabilized at their pre-2020 prices, because if you remember, power supplies crashed in price 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
They've basically just stabilized at their like 2019 prices.
Yeah. I mean, certainly I was shopping for parts for an American friend the other day, and I could not find a power supply that was vaguely viable for less than like $70.
Yeah.
And like for computer components, most of the time you get dollar to pound parity. So if something is £70, it's probably going to be $70. Allowing for tax and all the rest of it. So yeah, so like the minimum viable power supply, like the one that you'd actually want to buy for like no less than $70 is pretty mortifying.
Yeah, because it's 65 quid for the EVGA 500 GD.
Yeah. How much is a Corsair TX 650M at the moment? Oh my god! Oh, that's the RM. That's fine. Yeah, I had a heart attack then when I saw three figures. Oh my god, yeah. Well, Corsair power supplies are just, they're dreaming at the moment. I don't know what their website looks like at the moment, but yeah. The good brands are just all bad at the moment, and just it really feels like we're having to look at alternatives per se. Someone's still trying to get rid of Gigabyte P series, P650, for 55 quid. Have fun with that. But yeah, even now, like just the options on Amazon are just garbage. So yeah, no, you're right. Just PSUs are just still bad. Yeah, like a HX 750, like that's a H series, I guess. But let's see, R1000D, the CX 550F at £73. Those were going up 40 quid at one point, and I bought like 8 of them, I think. So yeah, RM 750 in white, £150. So yeah, no, you're right. It's bad in this country as well.
But looking at the pricing history from various stores in the US for the past 2 years, it's just a case of the price is lower today than it was in October 2021. So it is still a case of we have seen a price reduction, at least on the Corsair 750. RM750 as a random snapshot. Yeah. So it's kind of a case of, I'm not saying that makes the situation good, I'm just saying it is a case that we've effectively just returned to the pricing that we had before. Yeah.
I think there's a lack of choice as well at the moment, because like I was watching WAN Show earlier on today, and there's rumours that EVGA are in a bit of a weird spot at the moment. And like EVGA are just out of stock of everything on their website, and everyone's kind of been looking at EVGA going, are you guys okay?
But haven't they?
You know,
Oh, okay.
because you don't have anything, you know. And apparently they've got more power supplies on the way. They say there's nothing wrong. But
I mean,
this
they
is
certainly have.
But this is something
yeah.
I've noticed is that there's not really a lot of choice for EVGA power supplies as well, because like EVGA are a pretty good staple for mid-range power supplies. Like even like discounting the supernovas, like just their mid-range like the EVGA bronze power supplies, those are always a really good safe bet for a budget-conscious build. But there's just no EVGA bronze ones anywhere, So like the only ones floating around are like the EVGA white ones, and those are a bit of a wooden, you know.
Yeah, no, the white ones are actively bad.
Yeah.
But no, there's the 500 GD in stock.
Okay. Yeah. How
and
much
the
is
GD
that going
is
for
the
at the
decent
moment?
one. It was $65.
$65. That's not a yeah. That's not.
It's
awful.
a lot.
Yeah. Well.
Because I bought mine
65,
for 35, I think.
Yeah.
But that was also scan special offer. But yeah.
White. What the hell is that? EVGA PSU compatible supernova.
It sounds like someone who it sounds like someone who did a listing and wasn't quite sure what words were.
Yeah, there's loads of them. There's another one there as well. Like, what the hell is that? Ugh.
But also 200 quid.
Yeah. Supernova. Let's do. If I sort by price, it's going to give me stuff that isn't an EVGA power supply because Amazon search is bad. Yeah.
Here are all these cables.
I see. Brand EVGA. All right, white. Okay, so
that's a bronze.
70 quid bronze out. You know, no stock. If it's not available for Prime, then it's basically not in stock. Yeah, bronze 650, £66. And that's not even modular. Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's bad, Caradog. It's all bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes. Yeah, no. So okay, I take it back. Power supplies are not okay. They're bad, and that's kind of a bummer if you're trying to build at the moment because, like, you know, that is. We're talking prices that are sort of £30 or £40 over what we would like them to be, and 30 or 40 quid out of your budget is quite a lot of money.
I was extremely confused for a moment there because there was a power supply that was £75 from Be Quiet.
Yeah.
There was 300 watts.
Why does that even exist? Yeah.
Because it's a TFX power supply. That's why it exists. Because it's that.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, with the EVGA things, yeah, just I maybe they've just had a lull, because apparently it was rumors. EVGA are saying it's rumors. I feel like if it were actually the case, they would just say, yeah, we're winding down, because why would they say otherwise if they were not planning on continuing? So yeah, I can certainly believe that, but it's just kind of interesting. Maybe they just had an interruption in their product supply lines or something.
Yeah. I don't think there's any EVGA stuff showing with a price. Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah.
The other possibility is that people have been saying that various people are coming and going, and it might just be that it's just a changing of the guard kind of thing.
Oh, that's horrifying.
So, yeah.
Its pricing is no bueno.
I see.
Well, because I was just scrolling through to find the GDs.
Yeah.
The GDs are the good cheap ones.
Yeah.
The only one that's on here is a 700 watt for £145.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
With £48 shipping on top. So it's 180 quid.
So that's just a no-go then, yeah. Yeah, because it's just, you shouldn't have to spend 100 quid on a power supply unless it's a top-end power supply, you know. You used to be able to get like RM850s for like, you know, 60 or 70 pounds. So it was a case of you could buy a cheap bronze rated power supply that was like 500 watt bronze for 30 or 40 quid, and then you know, if you wanted like a high spec computer and you wanted to put like a 700 or 800 watt power supply in there, you're looking at about £70, and that got you a gold rated one. And yeah, that's the kind of prices that we want to see. That's acceptable.
TX 550M, 80 quid.
Mm.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, owner of EVGA doesn't want to sell, and because he doesn't trust anyone, but he wants to retire as well. So yeah.
Wait, what? Corsair made an RM 550.
Yeah, the RM series went down to 550.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's surprising, but fair enough.
Yeah,
it's £85 for a 550 watt power supply.
Yeah, that's no bueno. Yeah, yeah. I don't hate that one at a conceptual level because you know, again, it is priced to scale with everything else.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's a case of, because at the end of the day, it's a case of, you know, for realistically, you're doing bronze rating up to 500 watts, then over 500 watts, you really want to be on gold, because that's the point where the power consumption is high enough that that wattage is that efficiency is actually going to matter with terms of heat production. But it begs the question, though, you know, yeah, if you're building something where you're speccing a gold-rated power supply, you're probably going to want 600 watts or more.
Yeah. Today I learned you can get a Corsair HX 750 Platinum.
Yeah.
£100, but still.
I mean, that's, yeah. A HX 750 Platinum for £100, that's not awful, I don't think.
I'd definitely take it over an RM 750E for £102.
Yeah. What's the E designator?
Basically, it's, as far as I'm aware, the marker that lets you know it's the 2023 model.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I am very glad I bought my power supply when I did. Just seeing these prices.
Yeah, I think seeing the prices bounce up and down as they have done for the past couple of years, I think I'm definitely at the point now where when I see stuff cheap, I need to actually be sure to stock up on it, because I don't like holding on to stock because of volatile pricing. But I think we've seen prices going up and down enough to know that when something goes cheap, you need to buy it, because it, you know, I think we've got enough to know when something is not going to go meaningfully cheaper, you know.
Yeah, it's like,
unless it's a commodity, like SSDs are a commodity, you know.
Yeah, SSDs aren't worth holding massive stock of over above, obviously, like your bi-weekly turnover.
Yeah. But like certainly with power supplies, you know, I braved the previous spike in power supply costs because I had like 10 in stock, but I've kind of gone through them all now. So yeah. Quentin Stevens says, what do you think of adding M.2 drives to GPUs? Like that one Asus card. I don't understand why that exists. Does anyone know why that exists?
What Asus card?
There was an... was it Asus who did that? It was an Asus TUF... it was an Asus TUF graphics card. I think it was like a 4060.
I'm just going to double check the back door isn't letting in lots of water.
Oh, if it's still open,
then... incredibly wet out there.
Yes, if the back door is open, then it will be letting in a lot of water.
It is letting in a lot of water.
Oh no.
Oh, it's significantly moist.
Yeah, it is bucketing down outside right now.
That is extreme.
Yeah.
Good heavens.
I think when I woke up this morning, my phone said, light rain to follow. I would not...
There is very much water just sitting on the road now.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah. I would call that... I would not call that light.
Good heavens.
Anyway.
Asus flaunts RTX 4060 with M.2 slots with... Right.
Yeah.
Tom's Hardware, please illuminate me.
Yeah. So the idea is that, and like as people in the chat are saying, it's like, oh well, you know, if it only uses 8 lanes, then it can use the other 8 lanes for an extra M.2 slot. I'm like, yeah, but if it's only using 8 lanes, then that means that there are 8 additional lanes that are just unused. I guess if it's going to the CPU, you can't bifurcate that, can you? But I feel like this is a solution looking for a problem, because the kind of people buying these kinds of graphics cards are probably not short on PCI lanes.
No, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's just, yeah, it's. I think it's a stunt card personally.
It would make more sense to me if Asus had taken the 8 lanes for the. Oh, but then that would have. That's really difficult. Oh, that's really difficult. How the hell do you do bifurcation on a GPU on motherboards that don't support bifurcation?
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why it
Yeah.
still has to be 8 lanes and switched.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
See,
it's
that's
switched.
the thing. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, it makes sense that it makes sense to say, well, you know, if the card only needs 8 lanes, it can use the other 8 lanes for something else, like another M.2 slot kind of thing.
But it can't, because the motherboard has to support bifurcation for you to be able to do that, because you have to split that 16 slot into 2 sets of 8.
Oh, I see. Does the motherboard need to support this thing as well then? Yeah.
No, that's why this is only a by 8 connector, still, with a switch in there. So the M.2 accesses, the core accesses, the M.2 accesses, the core accesses, the M.2 accesses,
It's switching on the card?
Yeah.
Yeah, that defies the point of it then.
Because, well, yeah, but that's the only way you can do it without BIOS support for the graphics card. Otherwise, you'd have to have the motherboards explicitly support bifurcation.
Yeah. And so again, it's just, yeah. No, I don't get it. I saw the picture. Because I saw the picture of this pop up during the week, and I was like, that looks stupid, but I didn't read into it.
I initially thought this was the AMD workstation card that had an M.2 slot on it, and it used that M.2 slot as an L3 cache.
Oh, interesting.
So when you were using hypersized, basically gas and oil models, you could store the gas and oil model on that M.2.
Yeah.
But it was something where you didn't need to swap the data frequently, but it was like you wanted to conveniently store it much closer to the GPU. And I was just like, interesting, but also...
Yeah. No, this feels like a stunt card to me. This feels like an engineering thing where they're just like, yeah, we're going to make this just to generate some hype because it's kooky and interesting, and there's going to be a bunch of people out there that will be like, my M.2 is on my graphics card kind of thing. And it's just like, but why though? We already have too many M.2 slots. You don't need more.
Yeah.
No one needs more. So yeah.
Basically.
What's the best MOBO for the money at the moment? What platform?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Prime Day. See if we get
when is Prime Day?
The 11th.
The 11th, okay, yeah.
Have you got any money this year?
No. Yeah, so
when is Prime Day? Ask Graham if he has any money.
Yeah.
If no, possibly Prime Day.
Yeah, so it's just... I'll have a scroll through as I always do, but to be honest, the past couple of Prime Days, I've not really seen anything that's changed my world. It's mostly just been gizmos and trinkets that I don't really care about. Prime Day.
Why would you buy an SK Hynix 2TB SSD for $135 when you can buy a 2TB 980 Pro for $99? That seems odd. However, $38 for a terabyte Team Group SSD, fine.
Yeah, SSDs are wild, man. I'm not expecting SSDs to go down much on Prime Day because the prices already feel like they're rock bottom.
Yeah.
I think they might move some of the high capacity ones, like the 4TB ones.
Maybe.
But I think the ones that people are looking for, like 1 and 2 terabyte drives, I don't think those are going to move because they're already rock bottom right now. And apparently coming down further.
Yeah. We might see some more discounting on CPUs.
So yeah. Best MOBO for the money for an Intel i9. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna want a Z790.
Yeah.
Let's shop for motherboards, shall we?
I'm literally gonna go onto PC Part Picker, select Z790.
Yeah.
And then go.
Have you got anything private on your laptop?
sort of.
Yeah, okay.
Just
I
because the
understand.
user account's in a funky state.
Yeah, that's fine. I tell you, I'll bring up a
Depends
window
who
capture
you
here.
are. Depending on who you are, if you're someone who understands why you'd want a kingpin or a tachyon and a kingpin of a tachyon, if you don't understand why you want one, they're not for you.
Yes. Right. Let's go. If I desktop capture.
Oh, ASRock Z790 Tai Chi, either the Carrera or non-Carrera or Carrera.
Let me find that one. There we go.
Yeah, what would I say? Tai Chi Carrera, ROG Strix Z790E, Gigabyte Z790 Aorus Master.
All right, hang on a sec. You need to start again because now I've actually got Amazon open so I can actually look.
Yeah. If I were building it myself, I'd take the Aorus Master, obviously.
Yeah. So firstly, anything that's DDR4 is just no. Why does Z790 DDR4 even exist? You know, like this.
Because a couple of the boards were like £110.
Yeah.
At one point, and like at £110 with the 13400 kind of makes sense.
I guess, yeah.
Just because it did give you a lot more USB.
Fine.
So that kind of makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's see. I'm going to search for by Prime because I think that gives more accurate results for stuff that is actually available with Amazon.
Yeah.
And I'm also, we'll keep it at that same level. Right. MS, and let's see if we can actually get some price sorting. DDR5.
Oh, interesting. NZXT do have a Z790 board as well.
Can I have my list format back, please, Amazon? God, I hate modern website design so much.
This is why
You're right.
This is why PC Part Picker.
I'm going to PC Part Picker. You're right. I've had this rant before, but look at how awful this is. I can only see 4 results at a time. I'm not zoomed in. This is just 1080p. I hate it. Right. PC Part Picker. Right. Okay.
Browse products in the middle.
Browse products. There we go. Motherboards.
And then scroll down a bit on the left, and then you've got Z790 at the bottom left. Up. Stop. Down. Down one category.
There we go. Thank you. I was struggling to survive.
Yeah, if you sort by price down a bit there, from highest to lowest.
Highest to low. Okay.
Well, if it's 99.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And then we can ignore the top one.
Yes.
The godlike at £1,100.
We don't talk about that one here.
The Kingpin and the Tachyon are for people who know why they need a Kingpin and a Tachyon.
Yeah.
The Ace is for people who want to give MSI all their money.
Yeah.
The same as the ROG Maximus Hero, personally. If you don't know why you need them, you don't need them.
Yeah.
The first sensible one on there, I'd say, is the Tai Chi Carrera at 500 again.
Yeah.
But you can get exactly the same motherboard, but black in just the Tai Chi, as far as I recall.
God, that is chunky. Look how far over the CPU socket is on that.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Can I close that? There we go. Yeah, so wow, the Aorus Master is a big boy these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also apparent it's the Z790 and
oh, look at that I/O. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Hi, I would like all the USB.
It's just got USBs and Ethernet
Also,
on it.
I'm gonna have 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. I think it's 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports.
Yeah. However, again, just like 450 quid for a motherboard, man. I mean, that's let's see. Let's try and split this up a little bit, just so I can. There we go. All right. So, okay. So, without much being said, I think something like the Aorus Master is definitely.
Also, you do have a tickets tab open.
Oh yeah! Wow. Let's just close that. Yeah, I saw that bit in chat, and I was like, "Oh, why is that?" I was like, "Ha ha ha! That would be funny, wouldn't it?" And it's like, "Oh wow, it is open. Why the hell is that still open?" I'm normally very good about closing everything. Anyway, okay, so right, where were we? 790 Tai Chi, something.
I'd certainly take that over the Tai Chi Carrera, which, as
Yeah.
far as I'm aware, it's the same board.
Yeah, the base Tai Chi is usually the same as the Carrera is like the Tai Chi Pro, effectively.
And it's basically just white, I think, is the difference.
Yeah, and well, no, I was about to say usually the higher end Tai Chi has got a couple of extra features for troubleshooting and stuff, but like this one's got the postcode readout and stuff like that. So yeah, the Tai Chi that will be a decent board because ASRock have got their Tai Chi series down pretty well these days. They're always pretty decent, and like if you like the aesthetic of the Tai Chi, they're very good looking boards as well. What did that clock in? That's 380, so we're sub 400 now. Then I want to look at minimum viable. I'm going to go the other direction and go, what is the cheapest one that would actually be sensible? Let's just set price the other direction.
Oh, hold on. How many USB do I have?
So let's say we wanted to go mega cheap. Z790 Pro A, those are usually a safe bet for the MSI boards.
Huh, that's not terrible. I like the USB. The Strix Z790F.
Strix is always a safe bet. Yeah, where's how much is the Strix?
I don't know.
Oh, that's probably going to be 300 and something quid. Yeah, because the Tough is 200.
The F is 369.
369, yeah. I mean, yeah, I suppose if you don't want the ASRock, then the Strix would be the one to go for.
Yeah, it's
for
slightly cheaper than the Tai Chi.
Yeah. So for the low end, I can't tell. Yeah, there's a decent amount there. I would have to start looking up specs for these now. And like the problem is the i9 is an animal, so you need to buy something that actually does have a lot of VRM. The cheap boards are not going to cut it because it's that thirsty. Honestly, the Gigabyte UD will be fine. This is what's the
what, the UDAC?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if I remember correctly, it's.
Can we have desktop with face? HDMI? Nope. That one. Sort of.
Hello there.
Let's get. I want both just so we can actually have a conversation. Let me fix this. Not that one. Hold on. My brain is very broken today. All right.
Hello.
All right, there we go. We live there now. Let's go to the top right. That'll do. And now I can put that back there again. All right.
Twin 16+1+1 phases.
Yeah, switch to live chat. I mean, it does. For the different chats don't really make a huge amount of difference to me, for the record. So there we go. Whatever. Anyway, find an open box deal. That's an option, but the problem is that if you're trying to recommend a board, it's like someone said, "Oh, I found this as an open box bargain." It's like, yes, but no one else can find that price, so that's not terribly helpful. How good's the UD then? Is it actually any good?
Yeah, it looks all right.
Okay.
The PCIe slot layout is stupid.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's 200 quid. Yeah.
Look how chronically stupid that layout is. Let us put a PCIe slot right next to your graphics card that you'll never be able to use.
Oh, yeah.
And then let's put a by one slot that you'll never be able to use.
Yeah, that is pretty dumb. At least it's 3 M.2 slots and not
if they'd moved the 2 M.2 slots up, got rid of one of those by 4 slots and made it a by 8 slot, that would have made much more sense to me. But yeah, it's an 8+8 doubled VRM.
8+8 doubled,
which is absolutely fine.
Yeah. It's not exotic, but that will do fine. Yeah, okay, yeah. Credit where it's due. The ultra durable, that would be fine. Like, I mean, I was looking at the MSI Pro series, which is normally a safe bet, and yeah, the ultra durable. You're right. Yeah, that'd be fair. Yep. I'll never understand why they don't put the X4 slot above the GPU. Yes. Mainly just because that's where you put your primary M.2 these days.
Yeah, because you need direct path into the
CPU.
Into the CPU.
Yeah, so they do that for routing, and also it kind of makes sense because it does mean that you do have access to your main M.2 slot without removing your graphics card, unless you're Asus and you have to take off 1 billion metal plates in order to get to it. So yeah, that's fair.
I like how many slots it has. I just don't like the fact that they're all by one or by twos.
They're just not useful, are they? And like,
are they electrically by two?
let me get to a bigger thing because one of the
Where's
PC
the
part
motherboard?
picker
Let's just
only
go to
have
the
tiny
motherboard.
windows on them. Gigabyte Z790UD. Show me the big pictures.
Yeah, it's got a by 16 length running it by 4, by 16 length running it by 1, and a by 1 running it by 1.
Modern website design, please. Just show me the picture. There we go. Good grief. We got there in the end. Yeah, like... Yeah, that's annoying. Like, that second one from below, that's an X1, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, like, why is this slot a 16 length? It doesn't have any lanes going to it.
They should have dropped 2 of the by 1s. Sorry, they should have dropped the 2 by 1s. And then given you... 2 by 1s gives you by 2.
Or at the very least,
that doesn't.
Or at the very least, just get rid of one of the X1 slots and make the lower one more useful.
Make it by 2 instead of by 1. But again, also how would that be useful? But also just removing the one that's directly under the graphics card makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, hold on, that picture is different. You're missing a PCIe Express slot.
This is the Z790UD,
yeah,
right?
But look at that. You're missing a PCI Express slot.
Oh, yeah.
They've taken the plastic off on that picture, but it's still on this one, which is the one on the product page.
Oh, yeah. What?
Yeah. That's why I was confused reading the specs by comparison to what you were looking at there.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's not enough.
What was the one that... Yeah, the one that I was looking on PC Part Picker has got it visible as well.
Yeah. But that's also the one from the product page.
Yeah.
How bizarre.
Nah. Yeah, well, still, besides weird PCI slot layout, that board is, what did we decide, 200 quid?
Yeah, and it has...
And like, there's an AC version of it for 205.
It's got at least 6 USB.
Yeah.
I can't actually see.
Yeah, the UD-AC one, what was the... Have they got the non-AC one? No, don't know.
Yeah, you've got 4 Type 2.
Yeah.
4 3.1.
Rear I/O. Hang on a minute.
3.2 and a 3.2 by 2.
Right. 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 1. Yeah, it's a weird layout, but fine. Yeah, it's a bit...
Oh, I'm looking at the AC.
Oh, you're looking at the AC version. Oh, has the AC version got a...
Because it's got the aerials there, which is
that's why it's got a different PCI slot arrangement on it. Maybe because they may have removed one of the slots to put the Wi-Fi on it.
But this one has the slot, and your one that isn't the Wi-Fi doesn't have the slot.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. Okay. Anyway,
what?
It's an oddball layout. However, for £200, that's a very reasonable cost. I think for £205, I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah. What's the QVL look like?
Yeah. Yeah. So
supports processors with L3 cache.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that's all right. Like that kind of gives me hope that there are good ones out there. If you're looking for bargains, it is like I wouldn't put an i9 in it, but it's also worth noting that keep an eye out for weird NZXT motherboards, because whenever new NZXT motherboards come out, all of the old ones seem to get fire saled. Like you can I've got an i5 build that I finished this week, and I bought an NZXT board for that. It was a Z690 board, and I bought that Z690 board for like £100.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, so it's like we know that they're not very good boards, but they're so cheap that who cares?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of thing.
They're fine as long as it's not a like a i9, basically.
Yes, yeah.
If it's an i7, i5, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah. The i9 is just the oddball one, just because 300 watts of heat.
Yeah, I don't like the QVO list though for the Z790 UD, only because it only QVOs up to 600. Sorry, to 6,000.
6,000. Yeah.
And I would have expected them to QVO to 7,200.
Yeah.
Whilst I don't expect anyone to run 7,200 in that board, kind of thing off the bat, it's just a case of I'd want the QVO to be 7,200 to guarantee that 6,000, 6,200, 6,400 will just be.
Yeah, it will just work without fuss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
sense.
That's like the thing with obviously the X570S boards. They the
QVO.
The QVL on those suddenly jumped up to, supporting like 44,000 kits and stuff.
Right, yeah.
That was effectively at half speed desynced, but it's just a case of, the motherboard suddenly took an extra step and were just like, the motherboard is now dramatically better than your memory controller. Your limit will be the memory controller.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's that old story of like, it's easy for someone to be like, well, I've got no intention of overclocking my RAM. That's fine. It's like, yes, but this also means that you're not going to be having weird XMP problems with a standard kit of Corsair that you bought.
Yeah, you're not going to have XMP
just push it
issues
in there and it'll just work.
Running what is slow for DDR5 already at 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's a good motherboard with throttling and overclocking selectable profiles? You don't really get selectable profiles for motherboards. The only thing you can really do there is you could save different BIOS profiles, but any board can do that. I don't think you really see stuff that's switchable. You'd have to go to I'll have a look at that in a moment. You'd have to go to like a higher end board that has a dual switchable BIOS, because if you're running dual switchable BIOS like on like an Aorus Master or something like that, can you have different BIOS profiles in each BIOS?
I think so.
Yeah, because you're storing the settings in your BIOS chip, so yeah, I see why that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, it's also a case of certainly the eco modes on AMD, they were added in just by an Agisa update, and any board that runs an AM5 processor has the eco modes.
Yeah,
you just go into the CMS, the AMD CMS settings, and there will be an eco mode selectable.
Yeah, so if you want selectable BIOS profiles, like basically any modern motherboard can do this, because any modern motherboard has savable profiles. If you actually wanted a switch on the board, then realistically you're going to need a motherboard that has dual BIOS, because that's the only reason why you would have a BIOS selector switch on it. So yeah, I think that's I think that would be my response to that. And just use profiles basically is the answer there. So yeah. What is this nonsense?
It's supposed to be the Aorus Elite AXW, but for some reason it's got listed as the Gigabyte Guy By.
Yes.
And it's also wide.
Yeah, that's very much got a wide Linus aesthetic to it. I see.
I think someone just made a mistake whilst putting this listing up, because there's none in stock. There's no product details. Rainbow.
If you change to 750 watt PSU for 1200 watt, would it use more electric or no? No. Yeah. So in perfect land, no, because the computer is only going to draw what it needs. In the real world, we can talk about switching. We can talk about voltage regulator efficiencies and efficiency ratings, in which case a 1200 watt power supply if it has a better efficiency rating, then it may use less power because it is wasting less energy in heat. Because like if you've got a 750 watt bronze versus a 1200 watt platinum, for example, the chances are that platinum may use slightly less power from the wall because it's got more efficient switching on it. But we're already into the weeds here, so
yeah, it's a case
technically it could be different. In the real world, no, not really.
Yeah, it's also a case of to look at it from the perspective of a power supply doesn't push.
Yeah.
In that sense, the power supply doesn't push out 100 watts. It has the capacity to pull from it up to 100
watts. It can deliver.
Yeah, so the component using the power is the thing that provides the movement, effectively, of the energy, because it draws in the power, and the component doing the work is the thing that sets how much is used. You only need a power supply that can meet that need.
Yeah.
If it's something that has more need than that, you won't supply too much or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a draw. It's a draw, not a push.
So let's see. 5950X 2080 1200 watt platinum, is that an overkill? Yeah, I mean a 1200 watt power supply is an overkill PSU in general.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, so I guess at this point I need to acknowledge the fact of I have a video on my channel that says 1000 watt power supplies are stupid.
Yeah.
And
well,
to a certain extent, you know, that, I mean, firstly, that video was before the 30 series.
But
however,
my counterpoint, not that I recommend people do this at home.
Yeah.
But given I have a 4090 and a 7900 XTX,
yeah,
and I have a power supply that has 8 PCIe connectors, there were no problems.
Oh, did you run them both in at the same time?
Yes.
What wattage is this?
It's a 1000 watt HX.
Yeah. Oh, that was your HX 1000.
Yeah.
And it powered both of them. Yeah.
Yes. Plus a 5800X 3D.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
yeah,
if I can do this, I'm just like...
The problem is overheads. The
kilowatt power supply is more than sufficient for a single GPU system.
Yeah. The higher end 30 series had big power spikes, which is what caused this sudden urge that everyone said, oh, you need to have a high wattage power supply now, just so it could absorb those transients. However, they never actually pulled that much power. You know, again, the 3090 Ti was 350. No, it was 400 watts, wasn't it? The 3090 Ti.
400 or 450, yeah.
Yeah.
With transients at 700, I think.
Yeah. So if you take the sustained load of, say, 450, and you throw in 200 watts for your CPU, I'm not entertaining the idea of the i9 because it's stupid. So even
how much power would you like your CPU to use? 400 watts.
Yeah. So let's pretend that we're using a sensible top-end CPU that uses 200. You're still looking at like 650 watts sustained load. So even if you ran like an 850 watt power supply, you'd have 200 watts of overhead. So again, kilowatt power supply should always be like comfortable overkill. So then even if we factor in transients, let's say your 3090 Ti has 750 watt transients.
Yeah.
Cool, okay, let's pretend it's 750 watts then, which it isn't, but let's pretend it is. And then you've got, say, 300 watts. Okay, now your absolute worst case figure is burst peak loads of like 1000 or 1050. And that is absolute, like the peak the sudden bang onto low transients, you know.
Yeah.
So even still, 1000 watts is still going to cover you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're starting to delve into worst case scenarios now, you know.
Anyone who's using a Xeon W in a machine that isn't a workstation is an idiot.
Yes.
And I will not phrase it more politely than that.
Yeah. So, however, one of the other reasons why you might want to buy like a 1200 watt power supply is if you bought a nice 1200 watt platinum, you've bought a power supply that is never ever going to make a sound. And because it's always running so far within its capabilities, you probably are never going to replace that in the lifetime of the system. So there's a good chance that that's a power supply that's going to see you for 8 to 10 years, no problems whatsoever. So I don't want to say that I would recommend buying a 1200 watt platinum power supply, but you can make a case. I don't think, I wouldn't call it a waste of money. This falls into the category of future proofing, which is a bit of a can of worms, but yeah, you know. So yeah, it's kind of a complicated topic to really give specifics, but yeah, it's a case of you don't need a 1200 watt platinum, but at the same time, if you've got the money and you found one at a great price, sure. If you paid £500 for it, no, that was a terrible idea. However, if at the time you picked up a 1200 watt platinum power supply for like, I don't know, £200, for example, I don't think that's a waste of money. I think there are cheaper options out there, but that's a power supply that's going to see you for the lifetime of the build.
Yeah,
so,
it is certainly a case that, oh yeah, the RM line is only gold, isn't it? I keep forgetting that.
Yes, this is a Logitech mouse. So yeah. Apparently, as soon as you go in and tweak, the i9 quickly comes down to 250 watts. So, yeah, that's a thing. That's still a lot of energy consumption, but... Also, hello, Sai. I was running 2 GPUs for Jedi Survivor. How much power did that use? Not a lot, because the second GPU I threw in was a 1060, which was just doing NVENC. So that 1060 was barely over idle.
What does also, you've got a 3080, yeah?
3080 Ti.
3080 Ti, which would also have been hitting highs of maybe 60% utilization in that game.
Yeah, actually. So, yeah, even though...
So, in other words, it's using 140 watts.
Yeah. So, yeah, when I was running Jedi Survivor, to make it work, I was running a dual GPU setup. However, not
which
because
was also maybe using 500 watts.
Yeah, so
600 from the wall.
Yeah, so it was not because I actually needed
RGB, 700 watts from the wall.
So it wasn't because I needed the horsepower, it's because I needed the division of labor, basically.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Asus ROG Thor 1600T gaming power supply. £590.
Yeah. I can't.
Wait, what? You can get a 1.3 kilowatt SFX power supply.
Oh no. Hang on a sec, what's the model? I need to bring this up.
Cooler Master V SFX Platinum 1300W 80 plus
hold on,
Platinum
stop talking because I'm not ready to type this in.
SFX power supply.
Okay, now say that again.
Cooler Master V SFX 1300. V space SFX.
Oh, there it is. Oh my days. 1300 watts in an SFX. Look at it. You could kill a man several times with this. 518 quid.
I like the fact that because of the dodgy compression on the image, it looks like it's an 80 plus white.
Yes. That's bonkers.
Right?
Part of me is just...
Part of me is like, I kind of want this. Because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But also I'm just like, but no, £500. Oh. Apparently, if stock arrives, it's available for £385, which is far more reasonable.
Yes, yeah. It doesn't have a switch on the back.
It's too small for switches.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think that's legitimately why they can't fit it in there.
It's full of capacitors.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah.
Also, oh my god, the plugs stick out.
Yeah, the plugs have to stick out because they can't fit them in the box.
Oh, you should replace the Antec with that.
Oh no. I mean, if someone buys me one, I'll use it for the memes.
And we're just going to replace this power supply. Dink.
It would be very funny to go from the Antec, which has always been a running gag of just being a brick, you know. This boy is long, you know. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this boy is tired as well, if I'm honest. So yeah.
Yes. How many of these cables are actually still in the holes?
It's only one of the grounds that's come out, and it's a ground. No one cares. You don't need all the ground connections. It's just ground. We don't need ground. Anyway.
PC power and cooling silencer.
PC power and cooling silencer. I see.
Oh no.
I don't know. I mean, this is the thing, is like, if these things are platinum certified, if they're actually platinum, then they're probably fine.
Maybe?
Because the thing is you can't, this is one of the reasons why I still take efficiency rating as a broad measure of is it good or not. Because at the end of the day, it has to be so good in order to meet that specification. You know, this is why I'm very dubious about like 600 or 700 watt bronze rated stuff, because I'm just like, if they didn't put a gold rating on something that high, it's probably not very good.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh gosh, the Corsair HX1000 is now £340. I picked mine up for like 120.
Yeah, your was a refurb though, wasn't it?
It was Amazon open box.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was new open box, I think was their description of it.
Yeah.
But like,
Am I going to continue to use Windows 10 until security updates stop? I mean, yeah. So at the moment, I don't have any plan to move off of Windows 10 just because of Windows 11 just still annoys me in many small ways. When I use Windows 11, I always feel like I'm fighting it, basically. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with 10 at the moment. If Windows 11 gets updates that change my mind, I'll switch. But so far, I don't think they're going to change anything that I particularly care about. And the other problem as well is the most recent thing that I thought I might care about would have been the Windows built-in RGB support, but it looks like that's going to be a bit of a lemon because apparently it's only going to support a couple of keyboards and mice.
It's based off of the I can't remember. I wouldn't say open, but the standardized HID RGB control.
Yeah.
Which is at least fine. It means you don't have to install the Razer software for your keyboard. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. However, if it doesn't support motherboards and graphics cards, I'm like, this doesn't solve any of my problems, basically. No. What I want is built-in support for like the RGB that's on graphics cards and motherboards, just so I can set it to a static color kind of thing. If Windows 11 was going to get that, I would probably upgrade to Windows 11 because that would actually give me new features that 10 does not have. So yeah. Wait for Gamers Nexus's RGB software. I still haven't watched that video. Are they making software? Because I know Gamers Nexus did a video about proprietary RGB nonsense. Are they actually making their own?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going as far as to do that, but I know that Gamers Nexus was certainly going to use their journalistic weight to push manufacturers into being more open with their support of RGB stuff, so people could more easily use third-party software and stuff for it, get better support on that software and so on.
Yeah.
In collaboration with Wendell from Level 1. And it's open pleb. It also ties in and includes motherboard sensors.
That's good.
Because for some reason, Asus still don't have all of their sensors open.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like open RGB is okay. I use open RGB on a couple of computers with mixed RGB. Or like the i5 build that I did, the only RGB thing that's really in there is just the RAM, and the only reason why I put that in there is I'm trying to get rid of this RAM just because it's annoying RGB RAM and I don't like it, so I'm just like, I'm going to put this in a computer and sell it.
About it?
The RGB on it is just not very good because
Oh, I
it just
see.
doesn't tie in with any other software. However, OpenRGB can control it, but OpenRGB's interface is garbage.
I see.
However, it's
Do you know what you
but
could
it's
do?
incredibly lightweight, so which is why I use it.
You can go onto their GitHub, and you can do a pull, and you can make your changes because it's open source. Because
Yeah.
that's how this works.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I could. And also, Sai said, after 23H2, there's no reason for 10. Elaborate.
As far as I'm aware, they're removing yet more things from the right-click menu in 23H2. And they're removing yet more options from the file explorer thing. So, like, you won't be able to invert selections, and you won't be able to view hidden files and things like that through that. And you'll have to change that setting through registry edits.
So this is the problem. Like, I hate this so much because, you know, when new versions of Windows have come around, like, you know, when we were trying to get people onto Windows 10 from Windows 7, and when we were trying to get people onto Windows 7 from Windows XP, people were just like, I like the way that this works. And it's just like, you can do all of that in the new one. And, like, you know, just like get used to the new one, I said. You know, just
Because
learn the new
will
one, it'll
actually
be fine.
faster as well.
Yeah. But the problem is with
was.
Windows 11 is that like, I'm not afraid of something that's different. I'll get used to something that's different. What annoys me is that I'm having to do a crap ton of modification just to get back features that I had in 10 and functionality that I had in 10. And I'm just like, this is why because I did run Windows 11 at home for a couple of months, and I went back to 10 because I was like, I'm having to do all of this customization, not to make it look like 10 because I like the look of 11, but just to get back the features that I had in 10, like having options on my right-click menus and things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want those for the sake of it. I want those because I need them.
Yeah.
Anytime I right-click in Windows 11, the first thing I have to do is click on Show More Options.
Yeah.
You know, so and so it's just adding in more clicks everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's okay, and people are just like, oh, you can change that with a registry edit, and I'm just like, well, yeah, but if I have to change so many things, why don't I just use Windows 10, where I don't have to change any of this? And that's my beef, and I don't want it to be that way. I want to say, yeah, I'm going to run Windows 11 because it looks nice and it's the newer system, but
basically.
Yeah. Brings in a load of features, including a load they removed from 10, like moving taskbar and stuff. Yeah. I mean, maybe they're removing stuff and adding stuff in elsewhere. You know, I don't know. Windows 7 Aero was so cool. 7 was awesome in its day. Make no mistake. But it's not awesome today. It's horrifying. So, yeah.
I remember about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, I went through and made virtual machines for Windows XP, Windows Vista, 7, 8, 8.1, and basically just kind of went, right, what did the release versions of all of these look like?
Okay, yeah.
You know, and I was just like, oh my god, I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
But also, I looked at Vista and went, we kind of did lose out on a lot of stuff going from Vista to 7 with regards to the like the wallpaper stuff that it came with, and and some of the theming stuff and so on. I was just like, oh, that was a shame.
Vista did a really big push toward theming and stuff, which was a good idea. Like it almost harkened back to XP, where, you know, in Windows XP we thought we were going to have themes for days. Basically, it had the back end in it to have fully customizable themes.
Yeah.
Just none of them really existed. There are only a handful of them out there in existence. A couple of Microsoft ones, including a couple of the hidden ones, like the dark theme and the royal blue theme that came with Media Center Edition. Yeah. And then you've got a couple of weirdo oddball ones like the Disney theme and stuff. Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. Look it up. And I'll bring it up on this computer as well, just so I can show people. Windows XP Disney theme. Disney edition, yeah.
Oh, what?
Pictures.
Was this that wasn't a standard release, I presume?
I mean, it probably came with like an official Disney PC or something like that. Where's one where they've got the start menu open? I can't see it, but this'll do. Anyway, hang on a sec.
Yeah. Oh no! I've just realised this is on DeviantArt.
Yeah. Oh no! Yeah. Oh no! Yes. Anyway, XP Disney Edition, everyone. So
it's a magical world.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that this is good and that anyone should want this. However,
I don't know.
But it's cool that it existed.
I don't know.
You know.
I don't want it, but it is good.
Yeah, and when you're a kid, that would have been the coolest shit. You know.
Oh, didn't Disney do? Was it Disney who did the yellow and blue branded up PC? No, that was Hot Wheels, wasn't it? It was
Yes.
Hot Wheels who did that one.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. But like that theme without the Mickey Mouse ears.
Ears. Yeah. So yeah. So you know, yeah. Vista kind of was doing stuff like that, where it had some interesting ideas for theming, and there was also a lot of just other cool ideas around at the time. That's the other Disney theme that I was thinking of. I knew there was another one out there. Is that XP? No, that's 7.
No, I was gonna say that can't be XP.
Yeah,
it's the wrong start menu. It's also not. I
no,
feel
that's
like
Vista.
It's also not standard because look, it's got Object.plus and Windows blinds on it.
Yeah.
Someone's
that's been customized out the wazoo. Yeah,
which is why.
Yeah, although that much being said, that's Object Dock along the top. So, but even still, there's a lot of custom work that's been done with that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Vista was so bloated. Yeah, Vista.
I mean, it
sort of
because everyone. Well, yes, it was because everyone was trying to run it on a Pentium 4 1.8 with 256 megs of RAM.
Yeah, but also it suffered a similar problem that the more or less all versions of Windows since then have also suffered, where it started services. It ran services for stuff that didn't need to be running. Like on Windows Vista, even if you didn't have a touch screen, all of the touch screen and pen services and all the rest of it were all running by default, even when there was no touch screen or pen input device present. And it's like, this doesn't need to be there. Like if you plug in a touch screen, Windows should be like, oh, do you own a thing? Please, if you want to use this, click here. And at that point, it should then reconfigure to start all of this stuff and run it in the background. But again, and I think all subsequent versions of Windows have had the same issue, including 10, where there's a lot of stuff running in the background that theoretically is useful things, but doesn't need to be there unless the hardware is present.
Yeah, don't forget in Vista, they did do an awful lot of work with like service parking and things like that.
Yeah.
So it was a case of just because it was physically there
didn't mean it was using resources.
Using resources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And whilst it wasn't amazing in Vista, it was also a case of it was a problem that was very easily solved by having 512 megs of RAM.
Yes, this is true, yeah.
Trying to run it on hardware that couldn't really run XP, funnily enough, couldn't really run Vista.
Yeah.
Because it was 6 years on from when you bought that PC.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think because of the huge gap between XP and Vista, when Vista came out, it revealed the fact of the bottom end of the computer market was actually garbage tier. And cheap devices were only acceptable because Windows XP was ancient and could run on a potato at this point. Whereas, we weren't actually getting anything meaningfully more. But then, of course, this leads into the discussion of, well, if XP was fine, then why do we need computers to be faster to do the same thing? And that's a complicated can of worms.
Because try playing any video files in XP.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was a big Windows 2000 fanboy as well. ME was actually great. It was the last 9X. It came with mass storage drivers. Yeah, I never had that much exposure to ME because I was running Windows 2000 at the time. But I, I think a lot of people. I think the reason why ME is bad and should feel bad is purely because ME shouldn't have existed. They should have just run with 2000. 9X should have died with 98. There was no reason for the new home version of Windows not to be using NT, basically. And I think the only reason why ME ended up existing was for compatibility reasons. But even then, by the time that ME rolled around, Windows 2000 compatibility was basically fine. Because I was running Windows 2000 from day dot, I think, and there were a couple of things that didn't work in 2000, but like within 6 months or so, they got a patch that would work. So broadly speaking, I thought it was fine. I don't. Yeah, no, I disagree, Si. I don't think ME needed to exist. I think you could make an argument that it was the best of 9X, but also we're still talking about 9X, and 9X was terrible. Would you ever see yourself moving to Linux? No, I don't care. I mean, well, I have no interest in becoming a Linux enthusiast per se, but that much being said, I think Linux as a system is advancing. I think the main issue is from the gaming perspective. And with stuff like the Steam Deck existing, that is creating a very big push for making games Linux compatible by roundabout methods. So I think that Linux does have a bright future for gaming. So my initial very dismissive "no, I don't care" is probably a little bit. I have no interest in moving to Linux. However, I'm not dismissing it as a "this will never go anywhere" kind of thing. Also, it's just a matter of like my disinterest with Linux is because I have no interest in learning it, because it requires time investment for something that I don't care about. I don't want to run it at home because I want to run games, and I'm not going to spend the time running it anywhere else. And another laptop that I've got in that is slow, I'm going to install Chromos on that instead of Linux, just because I think that gives it something that's more immediately useful. So yeah, I don't know. So no, I just don't have any interest in Linux because it's just a fight that I don't need to have, basically. Valve doesn't commit enough to anything. I don't know. I don't know. Steam Deck is kind of a big deal for Valve. We'll see.
Nice.
Of the 5 or 6 games I play, only one is Linux compatible. Yeah, I don't know. Because what's the Steam Deck is using? What is it? Proton it uses for its abstraction layer or something like that. Yeah, and Proton does seem to be a magic bullet that makes a lot of things just work. Because it's funny. We should come on to this topic actually, just because Zoe, friend of the channel who popped in recently, has just picked up a Steam Deck, and she was saying how she's just picked up a Steam Deck because it went on sale on the Steam sale, and she said, "Oh, very surprising how big the list of games are."
Oh yeah,
and this, I think, when you consider how big the support list for Linux was before Steam Deck, and how the existence of the Steam Deck has suddenly made this enormous push to fine-tune everything and make it work in Proton. Obviously, Valve doesn't get all the credit for this. A lot of other people have put in the work for this, but the fact remains is I think the compatibility list for Linux by use of Proton has probably gone up considerably in recent times. But also, I don't know how much work it is to run Proton on your Linux distro.
Certainly the number of people who are asking the question has gone up significantly.
Yeah.
Steam Deck, out of stock. Expected availability, out of stock.
Yeah.
The availability is out of stock.
Yeah, because they dropped like, what was it, 50 or 60 quid off the price of everything?
Yeah, £10 off the base one, £15 off the middle one, 10% off the bottom one, 15% off the middle one, 20% off the top one.
Yeah, like that's a great deal. And like,
Yeah.
you know, the base model is £315 and the middle one is 390. So it's sub 400 quid. Because this brought up a really interesting question. Because as I say, Zoe got one and said, and Zoe DM'd me and said, "Do you want to do an unboxing of it and like a review?" And I said, initially, I was just like, not really, because I don't really think I have anything to say about it that hasn't already been said by a million other channels. The only possible thing I could do was just simply do a thought piece on my opinion of handheld PCs in general. And however, an interesting idea that did come up was the idea of getting Treb to come back in with his Ryzen 4300G base system, or 4600G, or whatever we put in it, his Xbox PC, and drag race that versus the Steam Deck, because similar kind of budgets. If you're building a budget gaming PC for a cheap minimum viable, which is about 400 or 500 quid, should you just buy a Steam Deck instead?
It depends what you're playing. I think it depends what you're playing is far more the question there. Just because from what I've seen, like from Digital Foundry videos, is that the Steam Deck is very much struggling with 2023 games.
I see.
And it's a case of, it's like you are playing it 480p upscaled from 144p to get 10 to 15 FPS sort of thing.
But is that because 2023 AAA games all seem to be garbage ports?
Sure, but it's also a case of
the end result is the same. It's not useful.
The end result is I can only play games that are minimum 18 months old, sort of thing.
Yeah, although you could argue that you're going to have the same issue if you build a budget gaming PC, but then that would be upgradable.
But it's also a case of a 6600 is an order of magnitude faster.
I see.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
5 orders of magnitude faster, sort of thing. So it's kind of that. So I don't know. Is a very short summation of that. Which obviously.
ROG Ally, it's too expensive if my memory serves me.
It's also, again, from the reviews I've seen, the performance on it sucks.
Yeah.
It's slower than a Steam Deck with worse battery life.
Is it slower than the Steam Deck?
Yeah.
I thought it had a refresh newer generation.
It's a generation newer CPU, generation newer GPU, and to get better performance in the Steam Deck, it needs like 15, 20 watts more power, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I think my biggest beef was just the price point on it. What was the?
I think it had a price cut. Funny enough.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it would need to. On the Google, so Asus eStore price £700.
Yeah, it's still 700 quid.
Yeah, it's 700 quid, and the Steam Deck is incredibly attractive because of its price. I think they hit the net. I think the Steam Deck.
The Steam Deck's less than half the price.
Yeah, and
wow.
Because
for the base one.
Yeah, you've got to be really dedicated to spend 700 quid on a handheld, basically. And now at this point, we're now talking about spending 700 quid on a handheld that apparently just isn't that much better than a Steam Deck, even if we pretend that it's faster, or more efficient and equal. It's still double the price for something that is handheld performance, and 700 quid is getting you into the realms of mid-range PCs if you are frugal with your purchasing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So ROG Ally is $1,000 and Steam Deck base model is $600. So Did you try Framebook? What the hell is the Framebook? Framebook. Do you mean framework, as in the framework laptop? Because those are productivity laptops, which is a kind of a different thing. But yeah, why use a handheld when your Android phone is powerful enough? My Android phone doesn't run all of my Steam games, though, is the problem there. Although there is a strong argument to be made of leave your PC on and use... Can you use Remote Play to a mobile phone?
Yeah, I think so.
I kind of want to try that, actually, because that would be really cool. So yeah, Linus laptop, Linus book. Look, just because he's invested in it doesn't mean he owns it. He's an investor. He doesn't have any creative or directorial input to the company.
But even if he did, why is that any particular issue, comment, or otherwise?
Yeah, like I think the framework is great and amazing. And if I was spending $1,000 on a laptop tomorrow, a framework would be in my top 5 contenders. Because like when the framework first was released in the UK, remember we did the cost breakdown of it, where we looked at the price and we were like, okay, how much would it cost to buy a Dell that had these specs? And it ended up being very, very similar. Yeah, like the Dell was a bit cheaper, but you basically would say, okay, well, I'll spend a bit more, and now I have all of the perks of the framework, the modularity, the responsible sourcing, blah, 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 you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yes. The framework is very, very, very attractive, but I don't need a £1,000 laptop, so I buy cheap secondhand Latitudes instead. Is Remote Play still on? No, you're thinking of Google Stadia. Remote Play is still a thing, and Steam Remote Play is great. It is brilliant. But yeah, it'd be super interesting. I kind of wanted to find out if you can use Steam Remote Play from a phone, because that would be very interesting.
Oof.
So yeah.
That's not bad. RX 6600, £178 new.
Ah. Yeah. That's getting into okay. That's all right, you know.
Yeah, that's
if
good.
we can. So yeah, if we can get a 66. Sorry, did you say 6600?
RX 6600. Yeah.
Yeah. If they can get the 6600 XT down to like 200, would be gold. Because that's basically the prices we want. We want 200 quid for a mid-range graphics card. So yeah, I believe you can use Parsecs to play PC games on your Android phone. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I'm no doubt there's a thing that exists, but what is great about Steam Remote Play is that it's just all built into Steam. There's no setup, you know. So what would be cool? I'm there. If I just load up the Steam app, actually, I'm going to quickly do that.
Have you set up Remote Play?
It has been on at some point, but I'm just going to see if I go to my games, is that news?
Cases.
Library. Let's say I want to play. What's something that I've played recently? There we go. I want to play Cult of the Lamb right now. Remote download, game info and links. Doesn't seem to be built into the Steam app at the very least. So yeah, it's not saying sort of like, oh, you can tell one of your computers to download this, but it's not saying play this on one of my systems now or anything like that. There might be a way of getting that set up, but that would be very cool. Can you use Steam on an Android? There is a Steam app for Android phones, yes. So yeah.
I'd take that as tolerable. I was just running through. You were saying £700 for the Ally.
Yeah.
Takes you to mid-range gaming PC.
Yeah.
And I was running the numbers because obviously the Ally includes a keyboard, mouse, and screen.
Yeah, sure.
So I was building a PC for significantly less than 700, and I think basically that's the cheapest you'd be building.
So what do you got there? You've got a i3-12100F. B660M motherboard, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, terabyte of storage, 6600 vanilla graphics card, a Pop Air, so nice case, yeah. Power supply.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the power supply in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And what was the bottom cost on that? That's 544. So you know, what, 80 quid for a cheap monitor, and call it 20 quid for a keyboard and mouse. So 100 quid extra for your monitor, keyboard, and mouse.
Yeah, which takes you to 650.
Yeah. So then plus another 50 quid to make that monitor not awful. So 700 quid. So yeah, for 700 quid, you can build a mid-range gaming PC basically. And not an awful one as well.
Yeah,
like we're not
6600 would wipe the floor with the Ally.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a completely different form factor.
Yeah. So again, it comes down to what do you need, but
and with the Ally, you are to a degree paying a reasonable amount for it to be a battery-powered device that you can just walk around with.
Yeah.
But it's also a case of, or you could just get a Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Especially if the Steam Deck prices hang around, so it's £400 for the middle one. Then, yeah.
Yeah, because also, like, you know, this is why I've always not hated the Nintendo Switch as well, because a lot of people, you know, the Nintendo Switch is not a fast console.
Yeah.
But like indie games has always been one of its strong points, because Nintendo did really well cultivating a storefront of indie games. And so, and like that's where handhelds really shine. I don't think a lot of people really play AAA games on a Steam Deck. I think a lot of people use it for indie games.
Probably.
And because I think that's what I think that's what handhelds are really good for. I don't think anyone really wants to play Call of Duty on a handheld. There's going to be someone out there who does, I'm sure, but I don't really think people are playing Doom on their Steam Decks. I think people are playing indie games. And so at that point, it's a case of, so for that kind of purpose, you could buy a Steam Deck or a Switch for half the cost of the Ally. So again, we fall down to this fact of, just because the Ally is a thing, I've never really been that attracted to it. It's the same reason why all of the indie handheld PCs haven't really panned out, because they're too expensive for what you can really do with them.
Would you like a 30 Hz 1080p monitor?
What? Ugh. You need the Steam Link app for remote play on phone. Oh, okay. Is there a separate app for it? I'm going to quickly look that up. I'm not going to use it now because my PC at home is turned off, so I can't do anything with it. But I'm just curious to see what that looks like.
I'm not saying this is a good
Call of Duty.
I'm not saying this is a good monitor to get. Oh yeah, actually, that was recently reviewed by Monitors Unbox as being fine. Gigabyte G24F, 150 quid, 1080p. Over 60 Hz. So yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, 150 quid.
Right.
But yeah. So yes, so that takes you. What did I say? 550. Yeah, that uses up all of your budget basically. Unfortunately, which means you need to get a keyboard and mouse for £5 and 5p.
Yeah.
But
okay,
yeah, it's doable.
I've just got the Steam Link app for my phone, and this seems to be local area only, unless I'm mistaken. Unless once you've paired once, it then works over the internet. That's... Oh no, settings streaming. Oh no, that's for just settings and stuff, yeah. Yeah, because this is Steam Link, not Remote Play. But that's interesting that you can Steam Link. Like that does effectively mean that you can sit in the living room and be sociable with your family while not actually being sociable. So that's a thing. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in looking at that just to see what else, what it's useful for. So yeah, RAM is cheap. Go 32 gigs. I mean, yeah, we could also do a lot of things.
But it's also a case of you need to build for the minimum possible price.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to meet £700.
That's right. Like we hit 700 just straight away, and that. So yeah, you could squeeze 32 gigs into that, but you'd have to drop you'd have to drop to a biscuit tin case.
Yeah.
And now it's a case of, okay, well, you got 30 gigs of RAM, but now it's all housed in a cheap ass biscuit tin case that you hate. So yeah. So yes. What do you think of hardware login authenticators like YubiKey or Google Titan? I didn't know that Google had one actually. But, yeah.
They've had one for a while.
That's fair. I think they're kind of interesting. Personally, I think an app on your phone is better. I think the hardware ones are only useful if you're the kind of person. If you have.
If you are actually.
Yeah, I was going to say if you're. Risk. Yeah, if you have a very high threat profile, like like commercial espionage threat level or something like that, where like the security of your system, like the security of a Fortune 500 company rests on the security of your devices. I think that's the point where that kind of thing starts becoming relevant. For the average person, just run Google Authenticator on your phone, I think is a much simpler solution.
Yeah.
Because Google Authenticator can now sync with a Google account, so it's backed up. Microsoft,
really?
Microsoft Authenticator, same deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a much simpler solution. So yeah, the only time this is a problem is obviously again if you're in a commercial environment, you might not be allowed to walk into a commercial building with your personal mobile phone.
Well, with any mobile phone.
Well, yeah, precisely. So that's the point where hardware authenticators may start making more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that Google were also giving out the hardware authenticators for someone.
Yeah. Interesting.
For certain users.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were doing a really big push for journalists and stuff, handing them out to journalists and things in lots of places.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Smartwatch?
I mean, the smartwatch is literally just going to be running the authenticator app that's on your phone.
Yeah.
And also, you're probably not going to be allowed a smartwatch in any of these locations.
That's what I'm thinking.
Therefore, you need fixed function hardware.
Yeah. If you're running from your smartwatch, you may as well be running it from your phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like you say, realistically, smartwatch functionality is just going to pull it from your phone. But then also, I'm of the opinion of smartwatches should be a side screen of your mobile phone and nothing more. But yeah, when did Microsoft Authenticator start syncing across devices? It always did, I thought, because that's why you recommended it to me a while back, just because it's synced to a Microsoft account. Because for a long time, Google Authenticator did not sync, so it was a case of your stuff was effectively either A, not backed up, or B, you would have to get another device and set up both devices and keep them up to date with each other. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it's done it since at least 2020 because that's when I started using it.
Fair enough.
No, it must have been way earlier than that. No, 2018 maybe, because that's when we started using it for other stuff. Yeah, no, maybe 2018. At least 2018. It has had the sync for TOTP syncing. I can't remember when they introduced the password syncing.
Yeah.
The password syncing and autofill. I think that was last year.
Yeah. Quentin says switched to Authy years ago because none of the others synced. I've got Authy, but that's just because there's a couple of websites I use that only work on Authy. There's a couple of websites that are super annoying and say you must use this particular system, and I'm like, get out of here. It's very annoying. Authy is one of them, and then there's I think it's just Authy and thing I use actually. I'm sure there was one more that I needed to use for something that I was very annoyed about, but I can't remember what it is now. No, I think it is just Authy, because I've got a couple of things in Authy. So yeah, actually just Twitch and Humble Bundle. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think Twitch only works from Authy and Humble Bundle as well, unless they've changed it. Because those are the only two services I've got in those ones. So yes, but both the problem with Authy is it uses a different format for its codes, which I think is why you have to use Authy for some of those services, because they made it work in Authy, and then realised that everyone else uses a different format. I would imagine.
Good job.
But yeah, very well.
Yeah, no, I started using the Google Authenticator ages ago, and then promptly realised, oh, none of this is synchronized.
Yes.
This is a major problem, and then swapped to using the Microsoft Authenticator.
Yeah, I don't know how well the syncing works because the other device that I have synced is the shop mobile phone, which currently has desynced, and all of the codes it's throwing me are incorrect.
Oh, interesting.
So I actually need...
I don't know. I don't know how well it works synchronizing between two devices.
Yeah.
But it backs up absolutely fine.
Oh no, I remember what the problem was.
It's just a case of all I do is just push the backup.
Yeah, I remember now. It's because my personal phone is syncing my codes to my personal Google account, and the shop phone I want to be logged on to the shop Google account, and I don't want to be logged on with any of my personal accounts on that phone. Not because I'm worried, but because that defies the point of having a dedicated device.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right. I'm going to grab another coffee, I think.
Very well.
I was going to have a cider earlier on. However, I'm still in sleepy mode. Past 24 hours, I've just been in mega sleepy mode, and I need coffee to not die.
Oh dear.
So yeah. Any thoughts on Meta Threads release as competition for Twitter? I've got some thoughts. I'm watching this whole situation very carefully.
I will be, unfortunately, of the opposite and basically go, I just don't care.
Oh, okay.
Because it's Meta.
Oh,
because it's Meta.
Yeah.
I do not care. I will not use it.
Yeah,
even if literally all of my friends are on it.
Yeah.
I will not be using it. And may I have a coffee?
Yes. Yeah. That's actually my bottom line. Is I don't want to use Threads, and I'm very upset that Threads is going to be a success, and that is very upsetting. So I'm just like, please, can it be someone other than Meta? Like I don't care whether it's Blue Sky or Mastodon or whatever, just not Meta, because I don't want to use Meta.
Yeah.
Arrgh. Right.
But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, coffee machine is going to take a bit to warm up. So
no, not a new phone case. A new phone. Well, new. Phone. It's
is that a Samsung?
Yeah, it's the S21 Ultra 5G.
I see.
Because
didn't you already own that?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
I bought it in 2021.
Yes.
And promptly went, it's horrid, and bought a Pixel 6 Pro.
Fair enough.
But I damaged the screen on my Pixel 6 Pro.
Oh, sad.
I think. Or it was faulty. One or t'other. I'm not sure. But I told them it is now not functioning properly, and said, I want a full refund, and they went, here is your refund.
I see.
So I have a full refund on it.
Ah, very good.
So yes.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Absolutely. And I was just like, I could buy a Pixel 7 Pro off of Amazon for like 500 and something pounds.
Yeah.
Or I could not.
Yeah.
And just not spend the money.
Yeah, I mean, you just have another flagship at the moment. You could just sit tight and wait for the Pixel 8 or something like that, and then buy that guilt-free instead.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm kind of, with the whole Threads situation, I'm very sad that, like, as I say, Threads is going to be a roaring success because it's out and everyone already has Instagram, so it's got a bit, you can launch straight from Instagram into Threads. Like, again, Linus and Luke were talking about this on One Show, and they pointed out how Meta are playing a very, very clever game here, where Threads is not associated with Facebook because Facebook is uncool and boomery, but Instagram is very cool and popular. So that's where they're launching it off from.
This is confusing. To follow the chain through.
Yeah.
So all of this is all owned by Meta.
Yeah.
But the news was launched on the About Facebook website saying that Threads has been launched by the Instagram team.
Yeah. Because Facebook isn't cool.
Can
and
anyone
Meta knows it.
Can anyone possibly admit the fact that Meta knows that Meta is tarnished? They know that Facebook is tarnished, and they know that basically they've only got Instagram, but no one will take a news posting from Meta on Instagram seriously.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that they know it, and like basically Linus's theory is that the way that Meta is now operating is that they are fully aware that the social media websites have a finite lifespan. They have a rise and a fall, and as one goes down, another one rises, and so on. And Meta is now going to be playing this game where they know that Facebook is on its fall, and Instagram is currently mid-life cycle. So Instagram launches Threads, and then they ride Threads, and then there'll be another one, and they're just constantly launching new platforms to keep another wave going. And it's like, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh God, the UI is awful.
Yeah,
it's so white and blank. And
it's very it's very hurriedly made. But the main issues with Threads at the moment is people are complaining that it has when you install it, it scrapes a huge amount of data. However, so does basically all social media apps. So it's a case of, yes, this is bad, and it's why it's currently not available in Europe. However, that's the sign of a broader problem. However, at the moment, I don't care about Threads because it has no chronological view. They're saying that a chronological view is coming. However, the fact that they didn't open with chronological view shows a very clear intent there. They're going to get everyone used to the way it is at the moment.
Well, yeah, like the fact of the featured news article by the side of this article on Facebook, on about.facebook.com, is how AI influences what you see on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. So no chronological is an immediate deal breaker for me. And yeah, so there's that. And there's also just, again, it requires me to make an Instagram account. And like, there was an Adamant IT Instagram account, but it just got blocked one day. Like, I don't sign onto it very often, but one day I just went to use it and it said, your account has been terminated. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I won't use Instagram then. I hadn't done anything, just fine. So like, I've got to fix that. So I'd have to make an Instagram account again, and I don't want to deal with Meta. And like right now, I know I'm already dealing with Musk's Twitter, but I was already there, kind of thing. If I'm going to jump ship onto another ship, I'm aware that the ship I'm on is already on fire, but I don't want to jump onto another fiery ship. I want to jump onto a good ship, So, Musk must be gutted that he has competition. He's super salty about it because they're trying to sue Facebook they're trying to sue Meta about it.
Yeah, and there's a significant likelihood of that working out, just because basically the entire Threads team was people that Facebook hired directly from Twitter.
I heard the opposite. Oh. I heard that Meta turned around and said none of the Threads team are ex-Twitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
From what I've seen in the
citation needed, basically.
In the initial filing, is that basically the entire team is made up of people from Twitter.
Ah.
And they were people who were like on the special future projects team kind of thing. And it's just like, if true, interesting.
Yeah, if true, there's a conversation to be had there because because non-competition contracts, like no compete clauses and stuff like that, are arguably bullshit and shouldn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely, and are also not enforceable in California.
Yeah,
which is where the motion's been brought, I believe.
Yeah,
but also it's a case of obviously IP is entirely different.
Yeah,
if you can demonstrate that the features are features that you had in a unique fashion, and they have been wholly just ripped off.
Yeah. But also, that's going to be a real hard sell because the thing is, Twitter isn't complicated. This is going to be a matter of like trying to... It's going to be the old story of Samsung versus Google. Samsung versus Apple with the trying to copyright a rectangle shape for your iPad kind of thing. It's like, yeah, it looks like an iPad, but it's a tablet. There's only one shape you can make it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that's going to be a tough sell, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know specifically. I've only seen effectively summaries of what the hell are they called? Motions. No. I can't remember what the first thing is where
Discovery?
you say we are going to lodge an action against you, whatever that
subpoena?
thing is called. No, the notice. Sorry, I've only seen summaries of the summaries of notices effectively.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm like 3 stages removed, but the summaries were all saying that, and I'm just like, interesting if true.
Yeah.
I will wait for the actual outcome.
Yeah.
But interesting if true. But also just a case of kind of, I don't know. I'm in a weird place with a lot of social media stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, see, for
Other
me...
than I feel really negatively, suddenly, recently, about almost all social media.
Yeah, see, this is where my point of interest comes down to, because, you know, again, watching the WAN show earlier on today, as I do, you know, both Linus and Luke were to a certain extent being like, haha, we can just sit down and laugh at all of them. And I'm like, that's all very well, but for me, as a Twitter user, a huge use of Twitter that I have is to follow independent artists on Twitter. And there are other people who are doing creative work, and Twitter is currently their main outlet where people can follow their work. Because, like, for example, you know, taking an artist as an example, you can have a website that has a gallery, a portfolio and stuff like that, but those websites are really terrible for discovery, basically. It's a great place to put your work, but you won't get discovered there.
Because I'm not already looking there.
Yeah. So, and even if you are, usually if you start having a website that has cross-discovery which has got like, you might also like this and stuff like that, now you have a social media website. That's not what those websites do. You know. And so Twitter is the main place for them to share and to be discovered. So this is the point where just like, yeah, we know that Twitter is bad. We hate Twitter, but if not Twitter, then what? Artists need somewhere to go and share their art and be discovered. Streamers need places to interact and network with other streamers off of Twitch and stuff like that. You know, a thing that has the function of Twitter needs to exist. You know, just because, and I agree that for some people who don't have a horse in that race, you know, fine, you know, don't know how I feel. I completely respect that. But there are plenty of people where it's a case of, well, actually, I do have a horse in this race. So which one do I bet on then?
And it's like, I realize my opinion is one that should not be listened to on this topic. Because it's a case of, I'm presently in a point where my mindset is a vast amount of human interaction is incredibly terrible.
Yes.
And a huge amount of that is incredibly awful, and in actual fact, maybe we should be doing things to reduce the amount of interaction people can do.
Yeah.
The amount of interaction people can do that doesn't have face-to-face repercussion, effectively. But it's also a case of, I realise I'm speaking from a point of incredible negativity, which is why my opinion is arguably not valid right now.
Yeah.
And why I'm kind of
I don't think that's a massive hot take either.
Which is kind of why I'm avoiding sharing much on this. But it's also a case of, it's even to the point of me feeling like I have a similar opinion of just like Discord servers that are large.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
if they're too big, then yeah, it may as well be public forum kind of thing. Because like, this is one of the reasons why I like Discord servers so much. And a lot of artists who are panicking about Twitter and stuff like that, I say to them, get yourself into Discord servers. You don't have to make your own server, but just be in servers of topics that cover your space. and post your artworks there,
Yeah.
because that you will get a very, very high degree of engagement because people are there specifically for this interest.
Yeah, because it was a
And it is a
conversation.
much more limited group of people, which
Yeah.
solves the problem you're talking about.
Yeah. Funnily enough, this was literally a conversation I was having last night with 2 content creators.
Yeah.
Where they were saying, because the type of content they make is adult content. It is restricted in the places it can be distributed.
Yeah.
And restricted in the people it can be shown to.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And they were talking about just the difficulties and issues they have with obviously actually promoting themselves.
Yeah.
Because the topic, the niche of content they create is content that certain platforms don't want.
Yeah.
And then because it's adult content, that's a separate layer. And
Yeah.
because it's this is a separate thing. And then they have issues with payment processes and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, it was very interesting talking about that. And I was like, to me, the way I find out about different artists, the way I find out about new musicians, you know, way I find out about new artists and so on, is by talking to people.
Yeah.
Is by asking you, oh, who are you listening to? You know, is by asking someone else, oh, what was that film you mentioned the other day? You know, oh, I like that film. Oh, who was the director of that? Oh, let's see what other films they've directed.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And that's the way I find stuff.
Yeah.
Is through that community link. And I was saying to people that I imagine it, a large amount of the way that you get discovered is by people sharing your content in Discord servers.
And talking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the thing, it's just, you know, and modern social media has taught everyone to chase likes and follow accounts and stuff like that. And like, we can have a conversation about how likes and follow counts lead to engagement and such like, but they themselves are not engagement. And,
I would say, yeah.
And by engagement, I mean not just someone who saw your image and liked it, but well, I guess I guess perhaps conversion would be the correct thing, where someone interacting with your social media content has led to another commission or another job or something like that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, obviously for an artist, it's not enough to just have people liking and sharing their art. That's no use. What they need is people to commission them to draw stuff.
Yeah.
Because that is how they earn money.
Yeah.
So just putting stuff out there that gets a lot of likes and stuff doesn't you know, that is part of networking, but that does not directly make them money. Whereas if you have a much smaller following in a Discord server, where people will actually directly reply and be like, I love this, I want one of those, you know, are you open for commissions? Again, in Discord servers and stuff like that, I think the conversion rate, if we call it that, is going to be significantly higher. And because you're in front of your dedicated audience there, you don't have the drama of just big public social media, you know, of, like you say, too many people talking at the same time, which leads to big disagreements and drama and all the rest of it. And obviously, you know, drama happens everywhere, but let's face it, big public drama on spaces like Twitter and stuff like that is the ugliest. That's a time where a single individual nobody can get crucified by half of the internet, which is just completely ridiculous.
Yeah. It's funny to me, weird to me. I hate using the word funny. Statement.
It's odd.
It is odd. It is strange to me
that
you get enough people together and you'll suddenly find people who you hate for absolutely no reason. And I'm just like, how? Where does this come from? Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
How is it possible for a random username to elicit such a response when I have no valid reason? How does that come about? Where does that little bit of information there, where does that inference here come from? How does that build? And it's a case of, why does it seem to build in every large group? That there is one or two people who are ostracized, one or two people who are marked as being, oh, you don't want to be friends with them, kind of thing, and so on. Or in every fandom and things like that, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, I don't know. It's a thing that has been slightly relevant to me recently, just sort of thinking about being a part of larger servers and stuff, because I recently joined a Discord server with, I think it's 135,000 people in it.
Wow. Yeah.
And like, sure, there aren't 135,000 active people in there.
Yeah.
There's maybe 600 active people in there.
Mm.
But it's also just a case of, it's just like the bits that kind of flow around with that. And it's just, funny studying the human interaction on that sample size.
Yeah. Like you can have interactions in a space like that. You know, you can jump in and chat now and then, and you might even have a meaningful conversation with someone. But I don't think you're actually going to. Unless you're there full time, always active, I don't think you're actually going to cultivate any friendships per se.
Yeah.
People won't remember who you are. They might remember that they had an interesting conversation with some guy, but you know, you probably won't gain any kind of note in that server per se. You know?
And it's also very interesting, something that I've noticed. The servers that I'm active in, I need to have a degree of notoriety beforehand, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the Adamant IT Discord, I'm active in that.
Yeah.
Because I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, I am me, and
Yes.
you guys are here because of us.
Yeah,
therefore,
so you intrinsically have relevance in that server because you're part of the show, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, obviously, you know, the other ones that we share as well, you know, I'm relevant in those because they're small friend group ones.
Yeah.
And because we're friends, therefore I'm relevant. But then other servers, I'm like, I don't even want to spend the time to become relevant and interested in this group.
Yeah.
And it's just very interesting, that difference, that separation of groups and stuff, and just studying human interaction.
Yeah.
Because humans are infinitely fascinating and impossible to understand fully.
My game with social media is always just a matter of time, because I only have enough time to be active in so many places. And I'm in many places because like I'll generally join a lot of different servers just because if I'm in the server, it means that someone can ping me there. So, you know, it means if someone is just like, man, I really want to get hold of Graham on this note, or I know this is relevant to his interest kind of thing. It just means, oh, he's in the server, you can ping him. And then I'll get a ping from some random server and I can actually jump in and be like, hi, you know.
I'm alive.
Yeah. But in terms of actual activity, I only have enough time to be active in a couple, because otherwise I would just never be able to backread anything. And if you're never backreading anything, then you're not really there. And I'm not saying you have to read every single message that appears in a server, but you have to at least be, you know, once or twice. You have to at least once or twice a day be just seeing what people are talking about, because then at that point you can jump in and actually know what's going on. You know, I don't know.
But yeah, it's a tangent, but it's my annoyance with Discord notifications. The fact of I cannot force Discord to notify me about messages on a large server. So in, you know, like the Adamant IT Discord, you cannot have push notifications on mobile. For every single message. And I understand that, because obviously if you had that on certain servers, your phone would be going ping, 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 ping.
And of course it generates a high load for their service, because their service then has to push all of those push notifications.
But I want to enable push notifications for the news channel, for the exclusive chat channel, you know, for the you know,
it'd be cool if they could have an exception, so you could forcibly enable them if the channel has slow mode enabled or something like that, which would
that's quite good.
Because then at that point they could be like, okay, we'll allow you to do this because we know that that's not going to be a fast moving channel because slow mode is on. You know,
or it should be able to be on for channels that are alert channels. You know, the ones that you can subscribe to in other servers. It should be able to be forced on for that one.
Yeah, Graham is hardly active on his own Discord.
I'll have you know, he's sent a message in the past.
Yeah,
week.
I read it. You know, I read almost every message in there. But I generally don't jump in unless I think I have something to add to the conversation. And a lot of the time, I generally don't have. A lot of the time, I don't generally feel like I have something to add. I feel guilty that I don't spend more time in troubleshooting these days. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah. Bargains channel exists. Bargains is back. We did change Bargains to a forum layout and it died, so we changed it back to a channel layout.
It was also... That's one thing I have noticed, though. The only channel I will get push notifications for is references and docs. That's the only one that will give me push notifications, even though that channel is muted.
I see.
That channel is muted, but will give me push notifications.
Yeah. I should try turning on push notifications and see if the only notifications I get are from the sports channel, which I have muted because I don't care. That's the F1 containment channel, which may as well be called the F1 channel, but I call it sports, so at least it can contain anyone talking about football, which I also don't care about. So yeah.
It's okay. I'll just put Williams flags up in the background. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I need to jump back into the tech support one though, because I don't know, I fell off of it a bit just because we get a lot of board repair questions come up, and while I can approach board repair, I'm not good enough at it to just read a thread and tell people what's wrong with their stuff. That's where some of the really good guys really outstrip me by a long way.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So yes. What are you giggling at?
The qualifying results for the British Grand Prix.
So what's going on in the chat at the moment?
Like, yes.
So yes, folks are talking about other tech YouTubers. We're having the usual grumbles about Gary Holzman et al. But yes, I tell you, I'm not gonna weigh in on other channels, but I will weigh in on just long-term direction of Adamant IT, which I'm like, this isn't announcements or anything, but I'm just going to bring this up as a conversation, just in case people have inputs, just to gauge responses and stuff like that.
Announcement: when I reach 400 Let's Fix Computers videos, I'm stopping releasing them.
Yes.
And we're going on to Let's Repair Computers, episode 1.
I've been thinking about retiring. No, I can't afford that. Seriously. Anyway. My exit strategy is to build up the company to the point where it's worth something so I can sell it and retire on the money. And it's like, how's that go? Yeah. Anyway, so direction of the obviously, like, because I've been thinking about this a lot, because after I did the VR body tracking video that hilariously tanked the channel, like in a actually scary way.
Yes.
Like in a way where I was just like, oh God, you know, like it wiped like the VR body tracking video where I made the full body tracking setup, that tanked so badly it halved the channel revenue. Like actually half, no exaggeration. So like that's not funny. That's actually like the YouTube channel is supposed to pay the rent, and it could not pay. It has not been able to pay the rent for the past couple of months. Thankfully, this is why there are many other contingencies in place, because I didn't move into this shop on a dream. I moved into this shop with contingencies in place for if this were to happen. So I'm okay, but it was a case of it did actually happen, and these contingencies were put to the test. So it was a case of it's a real thing that can happen.
See, it got the same number of likes as your MacBook teardown that came out next, the MacBook Pro needing new speakers. It got the same number of likes, and it got double or triple the number of comments.
Yeah.
Yet it has no views.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Like,
well, I say it has no views.
Well,
it has
10,000 or something, or 9,000. Yeah, but that's still half of what that's half the number of views it should have, and every video that came out after that also had terrible stats. they're starting to recover. We're starting to recover now, but it's taken 2 or 3 months to recover.
Yeah. Also, apparently, you just have to only fix MacBooks now.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Is my concern is that despite my best efforts, the channel is getting pigeonholed into I do board repair on MacBooks, and I thought I was aggressively trying not to do this by doing other oddball videos now and then to prevent this from happening, but apparently I wasn't trying hard enough. But also, this is why the success of the 3D printer video was very important to me, because that would be a demonstration that A, I can still do other stuff, and B, it basically, it's a shift that this channel is going to, it basically puts maker content onto the radar of this channel. So it's someone who thinks I'm open at 6:05 on a Saturday afternoon. I'm going to not make eye contact. So yeah, so it's kind of a case of, so what I'm hoping now is that I can start doing a bit of extra maker content and just help balance the channel a bit more, because if I get railroaded onto doing just MacBook board repairs, then I can't keep that up.
No.
I can't pull out one of those every week, because A, I don't have enough MacBooks in here to fix, and B, like, I'm not terrible, but I'm not a superstar Mac repair guy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, absolutely. Also, I like Arnold's comment of just blaming it on Paul Daniels.
Yeah.
Just blame everything on Paul Daniels and we'll be absolutely fine.
Also, this person is knocking at the door and I might actually have to go and acknowledge them. Okay, I'm going to wait, and if there's one more knock, I will go and acknowledge them.
It's okay, we talk as though there is a camera, because there is in fact a camera.
Indeed, yeah. It's when someone can't understand that 2 people sitting at a desk with studio lights and a camera pointing to their face, maybe they're doing some kind of thing. Should have closed the blinds. Anyway.
Yes.
Also, I slowed down video production in the same period. This is true. The slower video production, I think that didn't help. So yeah, okay, I'm going to have to go and acknowledge this person at the door because they're banging on the door.
Yes. Yeah, oh, absolutely, Raider. I don't think Graham's saying that he isn't good at fixing laptops, but he can't, pull out a magical repair every week. So yes, yeah, like to see doing more PC stuff, but limited by what comes in the door a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a case of needing the volume of devices through the door that are actually interesting to be able to, just record videos of. Yes. Plot twist, it's a firefighter telling you the building's on fire. I mean, if it was, I feel like there'd be significantly less.
There'd be more urgency in their knocking.
Yes, not just kind of,
yeah, they wouldn't be like sort of polite little knocks like, hello. It would be like, oh,
And much shouting.
Right. Neth tells someone to sod off very politely, because that was a customer who I do actually like. She's a lovely lady. She's a lovely little old lady. However, just then I did have to be very firm, be like, no, seriously, I'm live on the internet. Please go away. I didn't tell her to go away, but I was just like, I will next be open on Tuesday. I am not open now. I will next be in on Tuesday. Anyway. Oh. Right. I'm going to go and have a quick look. Is my 3D print nearly done? I want to keep an eye on this as well.
Yes. Apparently the largest audience is indeed the United States, and then the United Kingdom, and then India.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Canada, the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yes. Ah.
I was going to say I can do that now. We can have a 5 FPS view of the 3D printer right now.
Woohoo!
Behold, 3D printing, everyone. This is a part I'm printing for an upcoming project. It's not a very exciting part, but it's doing a thing. That is indeed the noise it makes. But yes. So yeah, I'm kind of sort of doing a little bit. I'm kind of hoping that if I do a little bit of maker content, people will be interested in that as well. Basically, I think what the direction I was trying to go in with this whole conversation was, I'm trying to also figure out what else people like. I have had, actually, have you still got the stats open? How well did the Fractal video do, the Pop Air? Because I had a lot of comments on that from people saying it's really good to see these review videos back. Because that, like, case reviews were one of my old staples.
It got 10,000 views.
10,000.
Infrared got 14. 3D printing got
Yeah.
8.1. Simple things to check first got 11.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because the channel's still in recovery. I mean, 10,000 at the moment isn't bad. That means it didn't bomb, kind of thing. Well, by current standards anyway. Just because, like...
How does sorting videos by most recent give me one that came out 11 days ago, then one that came out 4 days ago, then one that came out 2 weeks ago?
Oh.
Oh, did you upload the MacBook one after you uploaded the 3D printing one, but not publish it?
Yes.
Is that what it's doing?
Yes, that's correct. The 3D... The End of 5 video was uploaded like a week before it was published. However, because I'd just done the Fractal video, I didn't want to do 2 reviews in a row, so I delayed it by a week to put a repair video in between the 2 videos. Yeah. Because again, that's the game I have to play, you know.
But saying about comments on that, the Fractal Pop video got, or currently has 80 comments. Your body tracking one has 105. Everything you should know about voltage injection has 230.
That was a very carefully crafted video. The voltage injection one, though. Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah.
I am.
That was a video that I expected to be a high performer.
Yeah. Concerningly, unlocking the latent power of your graphics cards has more views than the EVGA Toslink replacement, the MacBook Pro needing new speakers, the Infrared review, the Pop Air review, the learning to 3D print video.
Put together, yeah. Please stop clicking on clickbait, people. I'm begging you. This is the thing. And people are surprised that Linus Tech Tips and Jay's 2 Cents and all the rest of it are doing clickbait thumbnails and titles. It works.
I mean, that video performed really poorly compared with all of the videos before the 3D tracking video.
Yeah.
But that's still performing better than all of the ones after and including the 3D body tracking video.
Yeah. Any interesting stuff? Any interesting stuff this week through the shop? Well, coming up, editing. I'm not going to fiddle with that because it rattles too much. Coming up this week, Dice Bones. No. Yeah, well, I should have brought over the camera so we could play a game of Knuckle Bones on stream.
Knuckle Bones, that's what it's called.
Knuckle Bones. Yes. It's cool. I like Knuckle Bones a lot. I'm very interested in this game. Anyway, who wants to see a dice game? Leave that question running. Anyway, coming up, I did a cable tidy up video where I did a video that was had a computer come in for just servicing stuff, and it had a Corsair Capellex all-in-one water cooler, 6 RGB fans, and all of the fan wiring, so the 12 wires from the fans plus a couple of extras, and the control box were just in the middle of the PC case. Because the owner of the computer had been like, I'm not dealing with that, basically. In fairness, when he came to pick it up afterwards, he was just like, oh yeah, I have my monitor in front of it. I don't care how it looks, kind of thing. I'm like, okay, that's fair. He said words to the effect of, I could have done this if I'd tried. Yeah. I was like, understandable. However, I saw an opportunity to do a here's how you deal with this video. So I've done a video, because like when I do a PC build, obviously I fast forward through all the cable tidying, because that's a very dry section of any computer build. It's not exciting. And so I was like, right, in that case, this is the bit obviously you've got to fast forward through bits of it because it takes time, but I explained the methodology and the thought process behind dealing with that. So that's the video that I'm editing this weekend.
Title, oh my god, you'll never believe how many cables there are in this PC.
Yeah.
And then there's a picture of your face like,
yeah,
and a computer, and there's just a small puff of smoke coming out of it.
And an octopus on the side of my head kind of thing.
And just spaghetti.
Yeah. So that's the one I'm doing this weekend, and I'm kind of hoping that's going to be a good one. And again, it's a build video, not a repair video, and arguably a video about cable tidying isn't particularly interesting. So I'm kind of curious as to how that one's going to perform as well. However, hopefully a reliable staple video, if all else fails, a reliable high performer is this one. I wanted to look at it yesterday or today, but I've just been sleepy and couldn't get to it. But this big heckin' chonker came in. Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
This is an Acer Predator 17-inch gaming. What is that? 17 or 20? Ah, 17.
17.
Yeah. It's a Predator Helios 500 gaming laptop. Light on the charger goes out when you plug it in. So there's a short circuit somewhere in this thing, and it's probably an easy one as far as board repair goes. So it's just like a big gaming laptop that's easy to fix. Hell yes, that's YouTube gold. Because then I can be like, I fixed this $2,000 gaming laptop with what is rookie board repair stuff. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was incredibly confused by this being here, going there, and then that being there. I was just like,
I saw you go. I saw you go through a 5-second roller coaster in your brain then. So yeah.
Like, what?
So yes, and 3 hours to open. Yeah, most of the video is probably going to be disassembly, but anyway, yes. Though, so this one, this one's coming up soon, and this will probably be week Tuesday video. Well, as long as it's a success. I mean, again, we'll see. Like, if it's a complete non-starter, then the video might get binned. But I got high hopes that this will be a nice, solid repair video. So again, that's one of the backup plans that's coming up. Other than that, there's not a lot of exciting stuff in at the moment. There's a PS4 in for a HDMI port replacement. I'm probably going to try and record that.
Yeah, because you've done one before, haven't you? But not recorded it.
The last one I did was a Xbox Series X, and it was a textbook repair. And I was so happy until I realised that I'd forgotten to click record for half of the process. And I was livid that I lost that video.
Yeah, because the hard drive replacement in the Series S video is still like...
And the thing is like I've figured out HDMI port replacement now. I've got it nailed down. My Type-C port replacement is still a bit, how you doing? You know, I've had some really good ones, but I've also had some that are a bit like, it's good enough. Not going to publish that one though, you know.
Yeah.
But the HDMI port replacements, unfortunately, the problem is there's a lot of people on YouTube who are very good at that, and I'm scared to put out a video that's not a good example of that, basically. So
I think it also just depends on the presentation.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that one, and I'm hoping that because I've got my process nailed down, I can do a good example of it. And you know, someone might be able to turn around and be like, "This is grand, but so and so could have done it in half the time," and I can be like, "Power to them." However, I did it properly, I did it right, and all of the little tricks and tips that I gave in the video were solid. That's a good video as far as I'm concerned. You know. So that's the plan. Don't be scared, just do it. Not that simple. I'd love it to be that simple, but you know, again, this is the problem: is examples like the VR body tracking video show that a bad video can tank the channel. So you have to be careful when you know something might be poorly received or get the wrong kind of attention. Sometimes you do have to be careful with what you put out there and what you don't. And I would love it if that's not the case, but also it's also a matter of responsibility, is that you have to be putting out good advice, because otherwise you run the risk of you know, it's kind of like the reasons why we've the same reasons as to why we've criticized Linus Tech Tips in the past for when they've done videos involving like soldering and stuff like that, and they've been using clown car equipment and just and you're just like, what part of you thought that video was acceptable?
Yeah.
You know, that's the same issue. Is I can make the same mistake where I can put out a video where someone can look at that and be like, this is objectively terrible advice. I mean, that's why I had to redo the voltage injection video, because the voltage injection video had misinformation in it. It had to go. It was the highest performing video that the channel had ever had, the one that snowballed the channel and made the channel skyrocket to where it is now. But it got to the point where I come to realize that there was bad information in it, and it had to go. So it got privated.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that's the problem. I'm going to put this to one side, so I'm not, because this is a brick. You know.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's difficult knowing what things people are, you know, willing to kind of look at. Which was,
Yes. You won't believe what we found in this Asus Predator. An Asus, yeah. Oh no, it's an Acer. Sorry, but yeah, you know it's stone dead. Oh, well, that's the thing. I don't think it's going to have a shorted CPU because it does run on its battery, but it's run its battery flat and it cannot charge because the charger just cuts out when you plug it in. So yeah, it's going to be my calling it now. Haven't opened it up. TVS diode. Basically, that's what I'm banking on. So that'll be a good one.
If you oh yes, you won't believe what we find in this laptop, and you just pull out, you know, a rubber chicken and a hairball and a kitten.
One of the car channels that I watch, the Skid Factory, they have a running gag where they have an 8-ball, like a pool table 8-ball, and they just constantly find it everywhere. Whenever they're taking something apart, like they'll be taking an engine apart, and like they'll take the head off, and this 8-ball will just be sitting in one of the cylinders, and they'll be like, you know, and it just appears everywhere all the time in just really dumb places. Like they'll pick something up and it'll fall out the back and just be like, oh. So it's just, yeah, it's a running joke that the 8-ball just appears everywhere, and I love it. I laugh at it every time I see it, just because it always shows up just when you've forgotten about it. So yeah. So a spin on that would be very funny. And yes, people like running gags like that, I think.
Or you just open the laptop and you pull out a MacBook Logic board.
Yeah, or it could be like, and it could be like you know, an A1466 Logic board, the 00165, which is just the most common MacBook Air Logic board of them all, and just that would be very funny if it was just, it's another 00165 kind of thing. But that would work. Yeah. But the short is before the first MOSFET, if the power connector is cable broken. Yeah. That's my guess, Doomer. That's what I'm hoping for. Dead rat or a bunny rabbit. Whoop.
Something you zoom in on with a microscope, like a tiny little face.
That would be kind of funny. There was one thing that
you just kind of inception it, and you zoom in on a component. You go, "Oh, we need a closer look," and then it just pulls into the face cam.
Yeah.
Oh.
It kind of makes me laugh every time. So I'm running 2 Insta360 Link cameras now, and the Insta360 Link has a very handy startup mode where upon initialization it will look for a face and lock onto it, which is kind of useful for me because obviously I'm never quite sitting in exactly the same place. So it means that when I open OBS and the face cam initializes, it will find my face and lock onto it. But because I have it zoomed in by default slightly as well, every time I open OBS, it goes, ooh, you know, and it's just every time I'm like, oh, hi there, you know. So, yeah, I don't know. A couple of channel gags would be good. Ages ago, at one point, one of our friends, Matt, sent me a whole tray of various sized googly eyes, and I was gonna start a running joke where there'll be just something random in the frame with googly eyes on it, and it would be something different every video. But that's quite a lot of effort to do, so I never followed through on it.
Just put googly eyes on the mug and just...
Yeah. But yes, I think everyone always smiles when there's googly eyes. You can find a single gummy bear. Maybe. I don't like gummy bears, though. Yeah. It's got to be something organic. I'll think of something at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, no, don't know. Not going to think about it now, because otherwise I'll just sit here and not talk about it because I'm trying to think of something funny. And I'm bad at... The problem is I'm not good at puns. So, yeah, I don't know.
It's fine. You just take into physical form all of the puns that come up in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, maybe. I'm better at being the butt of the joke, effectively. Why is W meter on the table? What is W meter? Oh, wattage meter. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. Because I meant to plug it into the 3D printer earlier on today before I started it running so I could measure how much power it typically uses. But I forgot. I'm going to do a review of the Office Move videos. I can't really review my own content, but also I would review it badly. A lot of them were very hastily made. But I don't know. I'm still putting them out there because this is the interesting thing, actually, is the problem with videos being successful or not really seems to come. I think the core audience likes all of the content that I'm producing. And I think the core audience accounts for approximately 10,000 views on a video. Because every video seems to get at least 10,000 views like clockwork, approximately, 8 or 9 or 10, and if the video doesn't perform, then it basically then means that YouTube doesn't push it and there's nothing on top of that. And ideally, I'm wanting a video to get between 18 and 20,000 views. So I think, and it's the same as like with the moving videos. I think the core audience is all watching the moving videos, which is why I'm getting loads of comments from people and in the chat and the stuff saying, "Oh, I really like these videos. Please do. I'm glad you're releasing them anyway," and stuff like that. But just the unsubscribed masses don't care, and that's fine. But that's the difference. But obviously, I think what we're seeing is the difference just between. And this is why at some point I need to look up the metric that shows unsubscribed view percentage, basically, because there is an analytics that shows how many views were from subscribed people and how many views were from unsubscribed people. This is an interesting measure of not necessarily channel health, but certainly audience state. Is that in an ideal world, obviously you want as high a percentage as possible of your views to be from subscribed viewers, because that's reliable views, people who will keep coming back because they enjoy your content. Whereas if you've got like 90% of your views coming in from unsubscribed people, then there's not a good chance that you're going to get that same viewership on the next video because those people are not subscribed. Not a sure thing, but it's an interesting thing,
Sorry, looking at the analytics on one of the videos, and I was just like, oh yeah, audience retention information. Top moment. This video doesn't have a top moment.
Oh, ow. Oof.
Spike. This video doesn't have a significant spike. Dip. This video doesn't have significant dips.
I mean, in a way,
I'm pleased it's just gradually depressing.
Yeah. I was going to say, in a way, that's good because it means that people are interested in the video as a whole rather than just a specific moment or something, but I don't know.
Yeah. Apparently, for the moving video 0, 62% of the views came from browse features, 10% from the channel pages, 10% from notifications.
I mean, yeah, a high percentage from browse features is good because that means it's appearing in related videos and stuff like that. So someone finishes watching a video on YouTube, and when the grid comes up of more stuff to watch, it's appearing there. So yeah. High subscribed views shows that the channel is stagnating in growth, though. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, you do want a degree of discoverability and new people coming in. That's also fair. So yeah.
I'm intrigued by some of your recommended videos for the moving vlog that generated views.
All right.
Yes. Skim, swim, try on, haul, hot girl, S. Something, something, something. I can't read the rest of it.
I see.
How to watch the Champions League.
I mean, I guess they're talking about where to pirate it, but I'm assuming this is not a 10-minute video with mid-rolls about switch on your TV and go to this channel. If you don't have this channel, subscribe to it, but yeah.
Jamie Raskin blasts Republicans to the...
I see.
Completely covered in corrosion, USC 2. I'm presuming that's the one where you just dunked it in the ultrasonic.
Ultrasonic to the rescue, yeah.
$1 versus $1 million yacht. How many speeds do I need on my bike?
Bikini try-on is one of the most egregious clickbait tactics. God, remember? Oh yeah, I'm just remembering the old days of when I used to watch like fail videos and stuff like that, and just the early days of clickbait thumbnails, where there would be stuff in the thumbnail that just isn't in the video at all, you know. And yeah, I
never watched those videos.
Yeah,
I was
them.
forced to watch them by certain people in, you know, social spaces, but I was just like, I
liked them for a while, but yeah, then kind of got burnt out on them.
I don't know. But yes, it got. Right. I don't know.
How many vlog parts are there? I think there's 9 total. There's 8 numbered at the moment, and then there's an extra one that I actually found again today because I thought I hadn't put them out in the right order because the next one coming up is when all the lights got done and the window got punched out and stuff, as in like the window in the wall got done, not the front window. And then after that, there's an intermission video, which was the story about leaving the old shop and having to redecorate it and stuff like that. And that one wasn't numbered because it was, I can't remember. So I think there's 9 in total, and I need to renumber them so that one gets put into the middle in chronological order again. So yes, I think there's 9 total. I think today was the 4th one. Or 5th, maybe.
I don't know.
So yeah, they're still slowly going out. So we'll see. How many saw blades did I get? I only used like 2, I think. Maybe I think I used 2 or 3 tops. So yeah, the biggest issue there was not was definitely a lack of electric drill. I absolutely should have bought an electric drill, and I have one now. But yes. Right. Shot cat is the way to go. Make sure it gets into thumbnail. Yeah, this is true.
I've also just realised why none of the moving vlogs are showing up in chronological order, because they were obviously uploaded a year ago.
Yes.
And it sorts by upload date, not publish date.
That's interesting because...
Stupid.
Yeah, that's interesting because if I go to YouTube Studio and click on content, it shows publish date.
Yeah.
Because in a way, that's almost... It's annoying because a video can't have 2 published dates. because what I would like, well, the problem is there's different reasons for it, because like I would like a video to have a initial publication, as in the moment it was available to view by someone, even if unlisted, and then when it was available to view publicly. Because obviously the initial moving vlog videos caused a lot of confusion, because they had a published date of this month for a video that actually got made 2 years ago, and everyone was very confused.
Not gonna lie, what the hell are some of these thumbnails?
I mean, that's a picture of the computer case that I was working on. It's a upward shot looking at the fan, and that one is a picture of the computer that I built, and it's a, you know.
And then there's just a screenshot from the stream.
Yeah, just
hello.
There are some videos where there are just no good thumbnail chances, and I need to. And the problem is, I always forget to do a thumbnail at the end of the recording.
Yeah.
Because the strategy is either at the start or finish of a recording video, you should pose for a thumbnail and just like what I should be doing is when I finish working on the laptop and I've fixed it, what I should do is then be like, and thumbnail, and then click stop recording, because then I have like 5 seconds of frames for a thumbnail, and I just have to pick out the one where I'm not blinking. But I always forget to do that before I hit stop. I go, thank you for watching, see you next time, goodbye, and then I immediately hit stop recording. So there was
one of the videos you kept that bit in at the end.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh no, I did that as a bit though, didn't I?
Yeah.
For a moment, I was mortified. I was like, accidentally, because that was
And you're just like, this is the bit where we do the thumbnail. Wait for it to come on. Come on.
Yes, I remember that one now. That was, I liked that bit. Anyway. Doo-doo. Prefer most of the streams on the other channel when you dissect something. Hello, Nikki Noki Naki Nu. Yeah, no, we do stuff. Yeah, today is just a talky stream, but I think that's just because didn't have any ideas and I was feeling tired.
Yeah.
I think we're both. Well, you're kind of tired. You're in a disposition of you're about to be tired because
absolutely.
Yeah, you did not sleep many hours last night, and so you're like, Caradog came in and was just like, here's my smartwatch showing 3 hours of sleep kind of thing. I was like, are you okay? And he's like, I am now. Tomorrow I won't be kind of thing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. What's the dumbest thing you've ever seen someone do to a rig? I don't know. It depends on what you class as dumb, really. I think because there's when someone did something stupid and you're like, look, this was dumb and stupid, but also it's the first computer they built, cut them some slack kind of thing. And then there is the most catastrophic mistake that someone has made. And I think for me, most catastrophic mistake was a new build came in and they had plugged, the floppy drive power connector, which doesn't appear on power supplies anymore, but like 5 years ago or so, you could still buy a non-modular power supply that would probably have a floppy drive power connector on it. And the floppy drive power connector just so happens to fit perfectly onto a 4-pin motherboard fan header. So people would be like, well, I've got this power connector that's got to plug in somewhere, right? Oh, it fits onto this 4-pin header here. And so they plumb 12 volts backwards into a fan header and blow up the motherboard. So I've seen that happen before. And I think that was probably the dumbest mistake, because that was very much a case of not actually paying attention to what was being plugged in where. That was a matter of this person has not thought about what they're doing. They're just plugging everything in without thinking. Instead of actually going, right, what needs to be plugged in? What is the thing that I'm plugging in? What is the purpose of this? What function is it serving?
Certainly when it's labeled.
Yeah.
And it isn't, obviously, more difficult, but yeah.
Screwing motherboard directly to the case without pillars always brings a smile to my face. Yeah, I've not seen that one. No, I've not seen that one before. I've seen plenty of crossed threads and stuff like that, and just things that aren't screwed in properly. But you can boil that down to, again, just inexperience. And, like Quentin says, criticizing your customers is seldom a good idea. I agree. I don't want to slate people for being inexperienced, However, yeah, I think there are some, I think we could certainly point out catastrophic things that people have done where it really feels like they didn't have their brain switched on for that one. But yeah.
I'm trying to think of any. Oh, I know. There was one where someone couldn't work out why their Wi-Fi card didn't work, and they had screwed it into the case, but there was no motherboard below where they'd screwed it into the case.
Oh, I see. So the PCI Express connector was just floating in midair because it was like a micro ATX motherboard in an ATX chassis kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had just screwed it into the case and then gone.
But it's wireless, Yeah.
I was just like.
Yes, that would be a good one.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Also, someone trying to put a PCI Express 1x card in a DRAM slot.
Oh, no. Yeah. No.
And, not succeeding and then being like, this card doesn't fit in my computer.
Yeah.
Me being like...
What parts of you thought it would fit there?
Yeah.
But it's really hard because there are sometimes there are some things which are very, very obvious when you know, but... Yeah. The problem is we spend a lot of time saying, if it fits, it sits. Square plug into square hole, round plug into round hole. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But then someone plugs something in and be like, well, it plugged in there, so why doesn't it work? Technically, a USB plug will fit into an Ethernet socket. Because they're the same width. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant the internal header.
I just got the same thing there. Yeah.
I was like, how would the internal header? Also, where are you getting Ethernet internal headers?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Is the stream in stereo with each of you on different L and right channels? But we're both of our mics are in mono mode. So no, it is full mono. We can do a stereo setup, and we did try that once. And it kind of works. We can make it so I appear slightly more on the right channel, but it was very difficult to make it sound good. And I think we all universally agreed that mono just sounded better overall. It also accounted for if we're moving, right now we're just talking heads, but if we're doing something where sometimes we change places and things like that, suddenly the channels will be in the wrong place and yeah. So, hello Pianov, how are you doing? Welcome to the chill stream, where we're doing a quiet one. So yes. Oran says, how's using the MacBook going? You just said you hadn't used it for a while, had you?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It is entirely capable of running Firefox.
Fair enough. Understandable, have a nice day.
Yeah, it's a case of it's not fast enough for me to do anything else with it. Because the other stuff I do is play video games, and it's a Mac.
Yeah, and also just... Well, no, actually, that one's got the does that one have the dedicated graphics card, or is that...
Not sure.
Yeah. Check it. Might be interesting, because the reason why I stopped using my 2014 originally was that it just didn't have the horsepower I needed anymore. Yeah. Although you've probably got a quad core there.
Yeah, this is the quad. This is the quad core i7.
Oh, okay, yeah, because my 2014 is a dual core i5. It's 2 cores, 4 threads.
Yeah.
And I stopped using it just because it didn't have the horsepower I needed anymore.
We had this conversation 4 months ago on this stream.
In that case, we're not going to talk about it anymore. So yes. Good. Yeah, Yeah. Joseph says, hello everyone from Colorado. Almost noon here.
Yeah, but yes, talk about using this as a piece of hardware. Yeah, it's fine.
They're still lovely computers,
the
aren't they?
operating system is horrendous in so many basic functionality areas. But generally, yeah, I don't have an issue with it. Like I can understand to a degree why a laptop would function in those ways. Like the fact of obviously the one thing I don't get is the lack of maximize.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't get, because I could understand a complete lack of snapping and any things like that, but purely forcing everything to be full screen, one window at a time, that makes sense to me when you're building a laptop OS for 13-inch laptops, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I have always been confused as to why Apple didn't just give up and make the zoom button a maximize button.
Yeah, especially if they're going to, but then make it so each. It's also a case of, to me, as far as I can tell, there isn't a very clear differentiator between this program is open and has a window, and this program is open and has 2 windows, and this program is not open but is pinned to your dock.
Yeah.
Whilst I realise there is a small dot under the icon, that small dot under the icon is there even if you don't have a window open, but the program has run at some point.
It is still running if the dot is there.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a window open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on Windows...
But it's a case that...
On Windows, if you close the last window, then the app will close.
Yeah, but it's also a case of, it's like Finder keeps the dot under it all of the time, because Finder's running all the time, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's also a case of, it infers that it is open.
Yeah.
Because that's what the dot infers.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I understand how it functions, but the UI functionality of it. It's also a case of, I don't understand why I've got these 3 programs here, which I didn't pin. They're just there.
That's just recent programs. You can turn that off.
But it's a case of, it's like, the last time I opened these programs was probably months ago.
That's because everything else that you have opened recently is already pinned in the dock.
Absolutely, but it's just kind of a case of, it's like, it's not recent then, is it?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it's like, you know, it's kind of, how long do you leave it for? Well, if they've not opened it in 6 months, why is it there?
There's a lot of oddballs.
Just kind of...
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting study you can do with the way that the macOS interface works, and that some of it you can trace back to just historical legacy stuff.
Yeah.
And like with the way of being able to differentiate between multiple windows and stuff like that. Like in the early days of macOS 10, we didn't you weren't really running many multiple windows. A program would probably only have 1 window at a given time.
But what if what if I wanted to look at 2 folders at the same time?
Well, for that, you would have just 2 visible windows anyway.
Yeah, but what if I then minimize one of them?
You don't minimize on macOS.
Then how do I look at the window behind it?
You click on the app for that and it brings it to the front. I'm not being deliberately dense here. This is Apple's thought process. Because that's the thing. There's no taskbar. You know, like you can minimize a window, but that's, you know, that was just one of these like kooky little things they put in as a, you know, you can do this, but it's not really intended per se. So yeah. So
yeah, I don't know, but I can't remember.
There's a lot of cool features in macOS where you look at the feature and like, this is very cool, but this solves a problem of your own creation. You know, like with
no, hold on.
Expose.
No. Heck.
3 fingers up is what you're trying to do.
No.
Expose is amazing, but also Expose only needs to exist because window management is garbage in macOS. You know,
it's also a case of I don't get that one.
The Launchpad.
I don't get the Launchpad.
Yeah, the Launchpad exists to make it look more like iOS,
because
and it is fundamentally just the apps folder.
Because hold on, what am I? Yeah, no, because I don't get Launchpad existing and Spotlight Search existing.
Yeah, because these are features that came in different times. Spotlight came in at 10.4, I think, and Launchpad is much newer than that.
And I also don't get why Launchpad doesn't have Spotlight Search at the top, or at least why it isn't called Spotlight Search at the top. Why the naming is different.
Is it not called Spotlight at the top?
No,
there?
it's called Search.
Which
I realise is a semantic, but it's like Apple consistency.
Might have been Apple drifting away from calling things Spotlight and just calling it Search, because when Spotlight came out, it was a big deal, and it was called Spotlight because it was an indexing system-wide search that was, for its time, lightning fast. At the time when Spotlight came out, Windows was still the old... Do you remember the old Windows search where there was no indexing? So when you typed something in and hit search, you'd be waiting like 10 or 30 seconds for results. Whereas...
The first time I used search on Windows was Windows 7.
Yeah, so I think that was already indexing. Yeah,
and 7 had index search. I'd never used search before 7.
Yeah.
Because it was a case of you didn't need to.
Yeah, arguably, yeah.
And it was a case of index search didn't make it so you needed to, but made it so it was faster to now just search, because it also indexed settings and things like that.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, actually, can I go display? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
it searches settings.
Yeah.
And Spotlight search on this functions exactly the same as like Windows 7, 8, 10 search.
However, unlike Windows search, Spotlight prioritizes what is on your local computer a lot more, because that's one of the inherent problems of Windows search, is it tends to prioritize web content first of all. And so unless you have a perfect match, it will often go looking on the internet for something instead of trying to match what you already have on your computer, because theoretically that's probably what you're looking for. But yeah. But then I'm very anti-search. I dislike search a lot, just because search has taught people to not know where anything is on their computers. And if you're a power user, obviously it's fine because you know how to do it the official way anyway, and you use it because it's faster than going to find it. However, most general users as a whole, search has taught them to just simply not know where anything is. Typical kid, even someone who knows their way around a computer, if you say to them, oh, how do I change the screen resolution? They'll click search and type in resolution and be like this. I'm like, okay, now do that without search. And like, you've got to open up settings. And they'll be like, right, search, no search. Where is settings? And they don't know where anything is.
I didn't realize you could actually get the desktop to reply and write on clicking.
Yes.
Sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, is there a right-click menu?
There is, yes. There is
on the background?
Yep. macOS does have context menus more or less everywhere, so it's fair. But yeah,
I was just wondering if that's how you change screen resolution on here as well.
Yeah, so that
I just find it interesting that Windows has put changing display settings on the desktop right-click menu.
Yes, it doesn't really need to be there, does it?
To a degree, it's kind of a case of it's just like,
it's not. Yeah, it's not like that's
actually.
Yeah, I think that's a legacy feature, because back in the days of CRT, you would probably run multiple different resolutions depending on what you were doing.
Yeah.
Whereas on an LCD, no, you run native. You don't run anything other than native. Yeah. So I think that's very much just an artifact that never got removed.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like, kind of scrolling back to the Windows 11 discussion, I think there's a lot of stuff that could be axed out of Windows in terms of like menu bloat and stuff like that, for stuff where I'm sure there's someone out there who uses that, but it probably doesn't need to be there by default. Yeah, like, ironically, I think display settings is still on the Windows 11 right click.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, you chose that to still be there? You know.
Yeah. It's also a case of indirectly, I'd have to actually sit and think for a moment to work out how the hell you'd get to it without going through that right-click menu.
Settings system.
I realise it's settings in system, but then I'd be like, oh yeah, no, actually, and then it will be somewhere on the left-hand side. But it's also a case of like...
That's how you've always gotten to it, because it's always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of that thing of, it's like, oh, I have to... yes.
Yeah. regedit to disable Bing results in Start Search. I need to do that on all of my computers, just because, like if I want to search for something on the internet, I'll open Chrome, you know. I don't search the internet from my Start menu.
But see, it's a case of, for me, I don't have an issue at all. I never have had.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Each to their own, I guess.
Yeah. Because it's always only ever given me program results from my machine. The only annoyance I have is, for some reason, it keeps opening the camera app and not calculator when I type in cow.
Oh, it's interpreting that as a typo or something.
Yeah, I think because like 3 or 4 times I opened the camera app by accident.
So, because it's seeing that as a recent.
It learns effectively because like I mistype Discord occasionally when I'm opening it, but it still selects Discord.
Yeah, see, I'm always programmed to put in calc because calc.exe is the actual exe name for it. So before search was a thing, you'd do Windows R for run, calc.
Yeah.
So for search, and like most of the time I still do Windows run anyway, just because then I don't have to wait for the search engine to run because I know I'm typing in the exact executable. But yeah, interesting.
But yeah, that's my only minor annoyance on my home PC is that.
Yeah. Very well. Calcam alphabetical. Maybe. Right. Anything else going on these days? We're at the 3-hour marker. So
I don't think so.
I feel like we're boiling down to us just waffling about nitpicks about operating systems now. And I could do this for hours if we were down at the pub, but yeah, I feel like we have reached the end of a useful conversation. Oron says, "Do you run are you on 11 or are you still on 10?"
I have the Canary build of 11 on my home PC.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Windows
Canary as well. That's brave. Yeah.
And Windows 10 on my work PC.
Yeah.
Although, now that I've changed monitors, I could probably go back to Windows 11 and it wouldn't make any difference on my work PC. Because the taskbars, because I've now got 3x2 displays, I keep the taskbar at the bottom.
Ah, yeah.
But where I was running 16x10, I'd had taskbar left-hand side of right screen only.
Yes, because that was one of your principal beefs of Windows 11 is you couldn't move the taskbar.
I couldn't move the taskbar to my secondary display.
Yeah.
But now I run taskbars on both displays on that computer.
Yeah.
But on my home PC, I still only run a taskbar on my right-hand screen, vertical left-hand side of right-hand screen.
Very well.
Which I realise is an incredibly niche way of running that, but it's because I have my big TV, which will have, stuff tiled across it, and then the taskbar on the right-hand side, and then programs, effectively.
Very well. Yeah.
And something I noticed the other day, I was doing some work at home, and I had the work I was doing here. I had my emails there because I've got a 3x2 grid, so 6 grid tiles on my TV, and I left that part of the screen empty and was only using this bit.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't know, effectively like a 24-inch, 26-inch monitor sort of size.
Yeah.
But having all that blank space made it feel so much nicer to use than an actual monitor of that size. And I was like, that's a weird kind of psychological effect.
Interesting.
Because it was also the case of like, if I needed space, I could chuck something up there and it would just be there. But I don't need to use that space right now, and it's free.
So it almost felt like empty desk space, if you see what I mean.
Kind of, yeah.
Interesting.
It was very odd.
Yeah, see, for me, I like to try and fill up my monitors with whatever I'm doing, so I don't feel like I'm wasting space. And although that, I think that also feeds into my current issue of my obsession of information density and having as many plates spinning as possible at any given time. But yeah.
There is a separate conversation about that.
Which we're not going to go into because I've enjoyed this conversation in English. Also, hello, Ten Solo as well. Yep, we're here every Saturday. Sometimes we do things as well.
Yes.
So yes, and next week we'll be doing something else.
Indeed. I was intrigued by JD's comment, just excited for cats moving vlogs. Just vlogs of cats moving around.
Yeah.
This is Tabitha. She's walking into the front room. This is Socks. She's jumped on top of the cabinets. Some of
the cat YouTube channels make me angry because they're just really fake. You know, like
I wouldn't know because I don't watch them.
I don't watch them, but like I got links to one that made me actively annoyed, or I think I saw it in a related one, and like I feel like I'm picking a fight that just doesn't need to be picked here. Just,
Because you're picking a fight with cat videos.
yeah, exactly. However, someone did a
You're
video.
not gonna win.
You know you can get like you can get a novelty floor mat that has an optical illusion effect that makes it look like it's a hole, like a funnel in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And obviously that's only going to work when you look at it from the correct angle, right?
Yes.
And so the video was, you know, cats get caught out by optical illusion kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, that might be kind of interesting. And so they put it down in a doorway, so you have to cross the mat to come through the doorway. And they put all the cats in the room down the hall. And so then they open the door. But the problem is, they've got it angled so the camera is seeing the optical illusion correctly. But obviously the cats that are coming from the other direction are not seeing the optical illusion because they're coming from the other direction. So they all come down and sit on the thing, and they put in cutesy text overlay because the cat comes down. The cat comes in, sits on the mat, and they put in cutesy overlay text with like question marks and like, what is this? Cutesy music and stuff. I'm like, the cat is sitting on it because it's a new rug. They can't see the illusion because the camera is seeing the illusion because it's a... I saw a video on YouTube that I didn't like, and it made me angry. We'll be back next week with something else, everyone. Goodbye.
Oh my god.
Thank you for tuning in. That's it. I'm reaching for the thing. Bye, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
See you in the Twitch streams.
Now would be a good time to insert